Sip&Awe, everyone. I'm your host, Brandon Windsor. Today's guest is none other than my cousin, Kyla Romero. Whoa. Before we get to... Oh, hey. Wow.
Hey.
It's time to do the thing that we call Sip&Awe. Everyone put your mugs in the air. Ooh, you got a little happy face. What is wrong with your mug? He looks droopy.
Mug makes everyone so uncomfortable.
He looks so droopy.
Look at the nose. The nose is
just
real.
Sticks out. I'm so uncomfortable. Okay, here we go. Big hello for the day that he's made for you and me. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Okay. Can you explain the health benefits of drinking bone broth before coffee again? Because that's ridiculous.
That's what's in this mug. And this mug has some cool little family on it. In the
Wow.
Crack. Yeah. Bone broth. And I put salt and butter in it. It's supposed to be better for your digestive system.
Wow.
Protects it.
Where'd you hear that? TikTok? Instagram?
Where'd you hear that, loser?
Yikes. Well, I never heard of that. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know.
It's really good. And it's good for your nails and your hair.
Well, that's weird because your hair's falling out. See that bald spot?
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
You're like, maybe it'll work someday.
Why have I been losing hair since I started this?
Dang it. Are you still live in Albuquerque, right?
Yeah.
Nice. What's that like?
I do.
Do you like living in Albuquerque?
Yes.
Why?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because it's if you don't have a community, then it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
But once you find a community, it's kind of nice.
Right on.
Because I feel like Albuquerque can be kind of isolating.
You want to get out of Albuquerque someday? Or are you probably going to stay there forever?
I want to get out of Albuquerque someday.
Where do you want to go?
But I don't know.
Cool.
I feel like I want to go to either South America or Australia, or literally just.
It's cool. Yeah. I would not visit you if you lived in Australia because of the spiders there, and I hate spiders.
I know.
So
that's actually a reason that I was thinking maybe I shouldn't live there. People always say that.
Right. Yeah, you should listen to them because that's terrible. So for the people listening, I just want to introduce Kyla real quick. A few episodes back, we had Charlie, my brother, and Ryan Romero, Kyla's brother, on. We were going to do a 4-person pod, but Kyla had to work, womp, or have class. I don't remember. Womp.
Thing.
So here we are, just me and her. What are you going to school for again?
Crazy. This feels crazy. Hold on. This feels crazy to me.
It. Why?
I don't know. This is crazy to me, dude.
People are listening to you as we talk.
Yes, and also it's like this is the first time I've spoken to you
in a while.
Yeah. And it's here like this, and it's just so crazy. But it's cool.
Yeah, I like our relationship. You, me, Charlie, and Kyla. I mean Ryan. We don't talk often, but when we all come together, it's like we never left. It's great.
Yeah. It always feels so normal.
Yeah.
And we run with a really weird, silly insider for like hours on end.
Yeah. And then whenever we gather around, it's just the 4 of us at my grandma's house in the dining room acting nuts. And it's great because no one understands what we're talking about, but we're just on the floor laughing, being dumb, making noises. It's great.
Dude, it's great.
It is so great. What are you going to school for?
I'm going to school for social work.
Whoa.
I'm going to be a social worker. Yeah.
That's cool. Since when have you wanted to be involved in social work?
Okay, so my mom was a social worker. She was like, she worked in, she always had a job that was kind of social worky,
Mm-hmm.
but she didn't have a degree in it, so she could only do like assistant jobs.
Okay.
Um, and but she always did jobs like that, and so I was like, I want to do something like that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I was going for elementary education, and then I was like, I don't know, that's not necessarily, I don't know if that's exactly what I want to do
Mm-hmm.
as far as working with kids. I want to work with kids emotionally. I'm not really interested in teaching them math.
Right.
I'm not really good at that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better at working with emotions and things like that. So that's why.
Cool. Do you always feel like you've been gifted in that area, working with emotion?
Um, I don't know. I feel
Mm.
like when I talk to Ryan about this, he feels a little differently about it.
In
he
what way?
tells me he tells me I can be maybe a little bit cold, but I don't know, it's different when it comes to working with other people. I feel like I do just kind of get it naturally, like working with emotions in that
Mm.
way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you have like a moment where you kind of discover that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really good with emotions, or did it just kind of like you just had a thought one day, like, well, my mom did this, maybe I'll be good at this, and then you just kind of discovered, wow, I'm actually really good at this.
Um, yeah, I think I see it differently than a lot of people, I
Hmm.
guess you could say. Um, like I don't know, maybe I should give an example. Because like I did like a practicum at an elementary school
Hmm.
where my job was literally just to like whatever the teacher I was working with needed me to do, I would just do what she told me to do.
Right.
Um and but one day there was this kid on the playground who was like throwing a tantrum kind of um because like he and another kid got into a fight, and he's one of the kids that is always getting in trouble. And so none of the teachers saw who started the fight. They just assumed it was him
Hmm.
because he's always getting into trouble, which is just wrong. You shouldn't just assume
Assume.
like that it would like just because he's always getting in trouble, you shouldn't assume if you didn't see. But they were like not giving him the time of day to speak, and like he was getting so mad. He was getting so mad. He started like throwing a tantrum and hitting like the other kids around him,
Hmm.
and like I was just getting so frustrated because it's like let him speak, let him speak, at
Yeah.
least hear him out, because it's
Let the
like
boy speak.
let the boy speak. And
Yes.
so but they weren't letting him speak, and then finally we got back to the classroom because that was at recess, and he was just so frustrated, and he still kept trying to speak. He
Hmm.
still kept trying to tell the teacher like, listen, can I tell you what happened? And she was like, and these are second graders, and
Hmm.
she was like, the teacher was like, no, just go for a walk, cool down, cool down, like I know
Just
you
get
did
out
it,
of
I know
here.
you started,
Get out of here.
just get out of here, I don't want to see your
Yeah,
face.
dude, just go
And
and
then
fix it yourself.
just go.
Yeah.
And then so I asked her if I could go get something for my car, but in reality I really just wanted to talk to him
Hmm.
because I wanted to give him the chance to speak, because I
He's
was
like,
like,
I
that
did
must
it.
be so maybe no, literally that's what
He's like, oh
happened.
yeah, she was right. I totally did it.
That's literally what happened. But like before he was like lying about it.
Uh-huh.
And then but when I went up to him and I was like, do you want to tell me what happened? I'll give you the chance to tell me what happened. And then he told me, and then he said, well, I don't know, this happened, and he like made me frustrated, and so yeah, I did hit him or whatever. And I was like, I was like, okay, so you did start the fight. And he was like, yes, but like no one would listen to me and blah blah blah. And so I don't know. I feel like he just always got labeled as a bad kid, and I feel like the more you
Mm,
get labeled as something,
hmm.
the more you're prone to lean into that behavior.
Hmm.
And so like I was like, listen, you're not a bad kid. You're a good kid. And there is a way that we can express our emotions that's healthier and
Yeah.
to where people are more prone to listen to us and blah blah blah. And then he like really softened and he like was like, thank you, blah blah blah. And it was like crazy actually.
Yeah. I think that's
And
great.
like it felt good.
Yeah. Like, um, I totally agree with that. Like, if you get labeled a bad kid, I think that's just, I don't know the psychology of children, but I think it's like, you know what, if I'm a bad kid, I'm just prone to doing bad things, you know?
Yeah.
But well, how are you emotionally? Because like with me, I kind of realized as a young kid, I don't know why this happens, but like if I'm upset or something frustrates me, I tend to shut down.
Yeah.
Um, like I remember there was one time where my stepdad came into my room. I was like 16 or 15. He was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I wasn't saying I don't know just to be a teenager,
It's
but
you.
like, "I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to talk to you, bro. I don't know." Genuinely, I didn't know. And that made
Yeah.
him upset because he felt like I wasn't talking to him, but I genuinely didn't know. So, yeah, emotions have been always kind of weird for me to
Yeah.
express verbally. Um, yeah, what about you?
I feel like yeah, I tend to, instead of just like feel my emotions all the time, I like bring them up to my brain. And I'm like, what do I think is happening? So I'm like always analyzing my emotions.
Mm,
I'm always like, I probably feel this way because this, and this. And that's, I don't think, great either.
mm,
Sometimes I think it's okay to not know why you feel a certain way or like, but just to let yourself feel it. I feel like a lot of
mhm.
us tend to not want to feel it because it's uncomfortable or
Yeah.
painful. So I think that that's the most important part, just like feeling it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and we don't have to get too deep into this if you don't want to, but like with your mom, like now that's it's been a
Mhm.
while. It's been
Yeah.
are you still numb to her passing? Are you still saddened by her passing? Or you just kind of accepted it and you just kind of moved on? Because obviously you miss her, you know, but like what's that like?
I feel like it's really confusing because like I feel like I process pain differently than other people because I'll talk to other people about like people that they lost like even 15 years ago. Some people I'll talk to, they lost a loved one they were really close to a really long time ago, and when they talk about them they still get choked up, they still get really emotional. But for me, I do feel like I kind of went numb about it, like kind of quickly,
Mhm.
like it was painful, really painful for a couple of years. But yeah, it feels like I kind of shut something off, and now it's hard for me to feel things about it. And I don't think that that's normal. I don't think that's normal. Like I wanted to like go do like a grief counseling group and like reprocess it because I heard you can do that. And so, yeah, because it's just weird to me that I like often don't feel a lot about it, you know?
Yeah. You know why you became numb to it? Do you know like what the root of
I
it was, or
I
it just
think,
kind of happened?
well, since she left, when I was like
Hmm.
6, I feel like as a child, I think I kind of had to learn to detach a little because I she wasn't around.
Hmm.
Um and so I think, yeah, I think like as a kid that was kind of a thing that I did. Um and so since we lived in two different places also, like I remember coming back to New Mexico after being in her funeral in Arizona, and I was like, whoa, it feels like she's still alive because we didn't live together here.
Hmm.
And it was like so hard to process, like,
Wow.
she's not alive. And like, it, because it's like she was always a phone call away. And so I remember there were a few times after she died where I would like reach to my phone because I was like, oh, I want to tell my mom this or something. But I couldn't call her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like crazy. So I remember the first time going back to Arizona after it was like a year later, maybe I went back to Arizona, and then I felt grief again. I was like, whoa, it's like painful to be here again. So it was just a weird thing to have to process, like having growing up in different states, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah. It's kind of weird because we're like in a same situation because my dad, my entire life has always
Yeah.
lived in New Jersey. And so, yeah, like it's crazy how, I kind of processed this a few years ago. One, I don't really know my dad. Like I've never experienced a day in the life with my dad because every time I see him, he's on vacation. So I've never experienced him waking up, going to work, me going to school, us coming home, like eating dinner together, and that's not bad. Like I'm not like getting on my dad's case about like you weren't there. Like I'm fine. Like I'm not upset about it. But I remember I texted him a few years back. I was like, Dad, I'm going to be just brutally honest with you. I don't know you. What's your favorite color? And so I just started asking him these questions because I wanted to get to know my father. Like that was just a huge desire of mine. And so yeah, like it's very interesting when your parent doesn't live with you. Were you guys close,
It
your
is.
mom?
It's weird. We were close.
Yeah.
But I did get to experience that. Um, like you've never experienced that with your dad, like ever in your whole life?
I mean, sometimes he'd have to run into work. I mean, when we were kids, we would go to the warehouse with him because he would be at work. Um, but most times he was on vacation. Like one of his kids would come into town, he would take time off of work and spend time with us.
Hmm.
But I would experience his job a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
but just like a normal day to day, me going to school, him going to work, um,
Yeah.
him taking me to practice, or um, I don't know, like me and him shared a really cool moment. Um, Whenever I graduated in 2019, he kind of apologized that he wasn't like around as much as he would want it
Mhm.
to be. And me being a Christian was like totally healed me because, oh, dude, that's fine. Like the fact that you're here right now is great
Yeah.
because you had
Yeah.
a perfect opportunity to leave because you're 2,000 miles away. But the fact that you kept in contact with us, the fact that you would fly us out to see you, the fact that you flew out to my graduation, that's great. So like I'm not upset about it at all. Um, but I kind of think like I kind of feel for my dad, because he has two children that he missed out on the majority of our life.
Right.
But I kind of feel for him. Like that's kind of sad.
I
Um,
know. I felt the same way about my mom too. Like, yeah, it is sad. It's sad for us as the kids, I think, and it's
mhm,
sad because you know that they love you and
mhm,
you know that it probably feels like I don't know how that would feel, you know?
mhm.
It's crazy.
Did you? Because again, we're kind of like in the same spot. Did you feel weird when Elena was born? Like, did you feel like your attention was kind of
I mean,
separated or?
that situation was really difficult to process
Hmm.
for numerous reasons.
Right.
Um, which I don't know. Yeah, I don't really feel like I could probably say
Yeah,
much
we don't
about
have to get
that.
into it, but I'm basically what I'm saying is like I remember when my little siblings were born and my dad called me. So I'm 9 years old, my little brother was just born. He's like, "Hey, I just want you to know like I still love you and I just want you to know that I love you and your brother both, and I don't want you to think that he's like my main priority and you guys are just kind of like on the back burner. Like I love all you guys equally. And so
Yeah.
I never felt like my dad loved me less than, but the overall question is like, did you ever feel like your dad, or did you have a fear that your dad was going to love you less than because there was another child in the picture?
I think it's cutting off. Is that my internet or your internet?
Um, I think it's yours because you're frozen. Can you hear me?
Now I can. I think it
Okay,
was my Wi-Fi.
gotcha.
Sorry. Okay, we're back.
Okay,
So
well
go
you
ahead.
froze, so let me dial
You're
it
saying,
back. Um, so essentially, I
okay.
was asking, did you feel like your attention, were you kind of jealous of your younger sibling because like maybe they got more attention than you, or that just never
Hmm.
really happened?
That never really happened, I would say.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that never
yeah,
really happened.
yeah. Neither for me. I was just.
Two, we only saw her, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just such a unique situation that,
Hmm.
yeah, you know.
Yeah. Um, how often would you see your mom? Because with my dad, it was normally during the summertime for a week or a few weeks. As I
Hmm.
got older, it would be maybe twice a year. We'd go for the summer and then we'd go for Christmas break. But now that I'm, free and married, I get to go over there as much as I want. So I've seen him twice in the last year, which is pretty cool. But how often did you see your
Nice.
mom?
We would see her, um, whoa. We would see her like a month in the summer, we'd go, and then we would see her for like a couple weeks during winter break. She would sometimes come down randomly,
Hmm.
um, like at random points in the year for like a weekend visit. Um, I remember would always see her for Ryan's birthday and usually my birthday too. So we would see her a little bit. Um, but I always felt like I never had enough time with her
Hmm.
at all. And so I think that was also something that was so frustrating for me. Like when she died, it was like, ah, I never had enough time with her.
Yeah.
Like we I spent my whole life living in a different location. And then when I was finally old enough, like you said, to have that freedom to just see her whenever,
Mhm.
then that happened, you know?
Yeah. How old were you when she passed
Yeah,
away?
19.
19. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy
Isn't that
because
crazy?
I only met your mom a few times. Um,
Yeah.
the last time I remember seeing her was when I was a kid. She came over for Thanksgiving one year.
Hmm.
And she was so sweet. I remember how like she was just so nice. And like
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh, that's great. That's Kyle's mom. Cool." And then the last time I
Yeah.
texted her, which is crazy. This was like a month or so before she
Yeah,
passed.
I was with her in Arizona when you texted her.
Dude, that was so crazy because uh man, because it was like pretty close to when she passed, but I asked her because during that time I loved Metallica and they were going to Arizona, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, if I were to go see them, could I stay with you?" She's like, "Absolutely, you could stay with me." And then of course
Right.
that never happened because we didn't go to the concert. But that was the last time I ever texted your mom. And
That's crazy.
man, so whenever that happened,
Yeah.
did that open the door for you to appreciate your dad more? Because you lost one
Um,
parent, now you have one more, so you're just gonna cling on to him, or what was that like?
I felt my emotions shut down.
Mhm.
It was like weird. It was like the opposite. I think I felt myself detached from everybody
Mm,
because it was a really painful experience. So I was like, oop, like not gonna feel anything now. Like I felt really numb, I think, for a while there. like so much so that I got mixed up in some weird situations with
Mm,
like dudes
mm-hmm,
that I was kind of dating that were really not kind to me.
mm-hmm.
And it was like, I was like, oh, like I just desperately need love from somebody. And I don't know, it was like such a weird time in my life. Yeah, I definitely felt like I detached from family though.
Mm,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was weird. It was a weird time.
Yeah. Do you remember like that moment when you started to come back, or is that numbness slightly still there? You think?
I don't really know. I think uh the numbness is slightly still there a little bit.
Mm,
Cause like as I was saying, I don't really feel um like the pain of losing my mom much anymore.
mm,
So I feel like yeah, that's still kind of something I'm dealing with.
right.
But when it does like set in, when I do let myself feel the pain, it's like whoa, intense. I did somatic therapy. I went to a somatic therapy
What does that mean? Somatic.
yesterday. It's for people who um have a hard time processing their emotions, kind of like
Okay.
because I'm the type of person that like intellectualizes my feelings. They're all up here in my brain,
Mm-hmm.
and like because I was doing like normal therapy for like a year, over a year, and in therapy that's like where you like can cry and like be like emotive or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And my therapist, she told me she was like my other therapist, not the somatic therapist, she told me like, did you notice that when you're telling me really painful, sad things, you're saying it like this? She was like, that's not normal. You're like laughing
You're
and
like,
saying it like
dang.
this. Yeah. And
Wow.
I was like, that's crazy. Um and so, but it's because I don't want to feel it, and that like helps me detach from it a little bit, like
Hmm.
keep distance from it. And so with the somatic therapy, kind of what she did was like I would start talking about something that I'm going through, and she would say like I would say things like I felt like I had to hold it together when I was a kid emotionally. And she would say like, "Did you notice that body language that you did right there? Did you notice that like movement you did?" And she would say like, "Do that again and really hold it for a minute and feel what you're feeling right now." And like so she would like make you um I don't know, I guess be mindful of how you're feeling as you're talking about something. And so I like sobbed. I like
Wow.
sobbed the entire session. And at one point I like did this motion. Like I put my hand on my heart and pushed away like this.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Do that again for me." And I did that again. And like it made me cry because I it's too much to explain, but I don't know, I
Wow.
just felt I when I put my hand on my heart, I like felt like I have my own back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds kind of like weird, but I don't know. It just felt nice.
Yeah. I I've always wanted to do therapy. I've
Mhm.
never done I've done counseling sessions like at the church before, and that's
Yeah,
always helped, but like
yeah,
I go through seasons where I kind of like reflect and I'm like, man, I would just love to talk to someone about that.
yeah,
Um and what's funny is so my stepmom, she's a I don't know if it's a social worker or a counselor, but she works for, if I'm not mistaken, like first responders. So whenever they go through
yeah,
something traumatic, she talks to them. I could be totally wrong, but
yeah,
that's the last thing that I heard. And so I remember I was going through a season where I felt like there was like this heaviness in my heart, and I didn't know what it was, and I just really wanted to talk to someone about it. And so I hit her
mhm,
up. I was like, "Hey, like, how do you find a counselor, or like, do you have any recommendations for like looking for somebody?" And then
yeah,
she gave me some tips, and then I'm really weird when it comes to therapy. So I get really motivated to do it, but then I just don't ever really go through with it, which is kind of
yeah,
odd. Um but I would love it if I could
Yeah.
just do therapy sometimes. I think it'd be really cool. I used to be really against it. I
Mm,
thought it was really silly. I don't know why. Well, I do know
yeah.
why. So, like, as a Christian, I'd be like super like spiritual and religious.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need a therapist, you just need God. Talk to God about it.
Yeah.
And then I was introduced to a guy named Tim Ross, and he talked about what therapy's done for him, what therapy can
Yeah.
do for you,
Yeah.
and ever since then, I've been open to it. So I think
Yeah.
therapy would be really cool if I could just sit down and just talk about some things that's happened in my life. Because I haven't
For
gone through
sure.
anything crazy, but I think I've seen some things I don't think a kid should have seen.
Yeah.
Um, so
It's
yeah.
insanely helpful. Yeah, I think everyone should go to therapy. It's like, um, I don't know. It helped me because we have like patterns and tendencies we are unaware of too that like really affect us from living our life in healthier ways. I don't
Hmm.
know. Like, because when I first started going to therapy, I don't know, I would talk about something and I would be like, I'm in the wrong, right? Like, I'm bad. Like, I always felt like I'm bad. And I still struggle with that a little bit. But then my therapist would be like, it sounds like they did wrong to you, though. Like, listen, like, back to what you just said. Like, they wronged you.
Hmm.
And it was like things like that that I would be like, whoa, like, I take on blame and guilt for a lot of things that weren't even my fault, or like
Hmm.
where the other person was in the wrong, or like we both played a part in it, but I was taking on all the blame. And it's like, I don't know, therapy can really help you with stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think for me, and I don't know if this is just me being a dude, because I've heard a lot of guys talk like this. And like kind of thinking about it's making me a little emotional, but I'm really bad at expressing how I feel.
Mhm.
Um, I remember I got married in June and then my buddy got married in September and I was listening to his vows to his wife. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, those were really good because mine weren't like that. I love my
Mm,
wife so much, but I don't know how to express it. So it was basically like, hey,
mm,
I love you. I'm really excited that we're going to spend the rest of our life together.
right.
Um, you're great. You know, it's just like, but in
Yeah.
my heart, I totally feel different. And
Right.
uh, ex-
Wow.
yeah, expressing how I feel is really difficult.
Whoa.
So that's why I
That's
turn to
interesting.
music. Like that's why I
Yeah.
love, 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 love music because it kind of helps me express how I feel. I remember one time in high school I did paintings. I was a terrible
Yeah.
painter, but the one that I actually enjoyed is I painted a brick wall and one
Hmm.
of the bricks was kind of broken because it was like as though someone was punching through.
Mm,
And I still kind of feel like this to some degree, but every time I try to explain how I feel, it feels like I'm just hitting a brick wall because I don't know how to truly express how I'm feeling.
mm,
Um, and so yeah, like sometimes I'm really upset. Like if me and my wife are having some conflict, or if I'm having conflict in my own life, I don't know how to express what I'm feeling.
uh,
So I just kind of sit in it, and I don't think sitting in it isn't always the healthiest way. I remember in I took a psychology class before I dropped out of college, and
yeah.
we're studying sleep, and um, they were talking about. I remember doing like a little brain work thing, and they were like, "Yeah, well, what I do typically when I have conflict, I just go to sleep because when I wake up, I genuinely just feel fine. Like I just go to bed, and I wake up
Mhm.
fine." And they were saying, no, you shouldn't do that because you're suppressing it. You're putting it in your subconscious. And then when you wake up, it's still there, but you don't feel it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, honestly, going to sleep upset kind of helps. Like,
Yeah.
weird because I felt like I was actually trying to express how I feel. But then I was like,
Right.
no, that's not right. You shouldn't do it like that. And not that I want my feelings to be validated, but um, yeah.
That's interesting. I feel like, I mean, I do think it's healthy to like process it and think about it a little bit
Hmm.
and like and express it, because I do think that our emotions live in our bodies. I think that if they're not expressed somehow, they will store themselves in other places, and it manifests literally as illnesses like
Hmm.
cancer
Right.
and heart disease, anything, it manifests as other things
Hmm.
in our bodies. And this is like proven
Hmm.
scientifically.
Yeah.
Um and so I don't know, I've been learning a lot about that too. Like that there's a healthy way to express the emotion as well. Like this guy Gabor Mate, he like talks about how they did a lot of like um research working with um like they found like a correlation between people who like express their anger in a rageful way, like
Hmm.
really unhealthy rage. They often got like heart attacks or experienced like heart disease or some kind of a heart condition. And
Hmm.
like women who are like people pleasers and like never ask for help, it like would manifest itself as breast cancer. Like a lot of these women would get breast cancer.
Wow.
So it's crazy like how important it is to like process those things and work through them and talk about them.
Hmm.
um yeah, because that's like something that we don't value in society. We don't like value like listening to what our bodies are telling us. We don't value like it's like, oh, you just need to work really hard and push through things, and if you're not doing that, you're a baby. It's like, no, well, maybe my body's telling me I need rest. Maybe I should rest today. Like maybe that's good and healthy,
Yeah.
and I don't need to work myself into the grave.
Yeah. And for me, like being a Christian, like balancing that
Yeah,
out has been a process for me because for the longest time I was super religious with a lot of stuff and super
yeah,
spiritual. Um, where even now people talk about like I've had a really tough past and I go to therapy and then I would have thoughts of like, well, you shouldn't go to therapy. Like God's got it, brother. But I'm totally
yeah.
different now. Have you ever seen the movie Upside with Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the
when he's in the
one, the
wheelchair.
wheelchair. Yeah,
Yeah, so there's a scene that makes me cry every time I watch it, and it's his birthday party. He's really frustrated, and he's paralyzed, and he's just really mad. And Kevin's like, "You want me to break this? You want me to break this bottle?" And then he smashes it, and he just starts screaming, and he's like, "Get the bull, smash the bull! I hate that thing!" And then he just started smashing things because Brian was
uh,
just so angry, and so that was just a
yeah,
way for him to express himself. And I don't know why, Kyla, but every time I watch that scene, it just makes me cry because I'm like, oh, that just seems so nice to just
right,
express your emotions like that. Not that I want to
right.
go break stuff, but
Well,
that seems just powerful to
yeah,
me. Yeah.
that's interesting. Like, I think also like the way you describe like you have a hard time processing your emotions, like you shut down, kind of. You don't really know how to describe what you're feeling. I feel like maybe like you acted kind of as like a mediator growing up. Like it was maybe a little bit your job to keep the peace in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think that like when that's true, I think that then you learn to like put your emotions on the back burner a little bit.
I remember
Like
in
you're
high
like,
school. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think that was it.
Oh, because I remember in high school, this is actually really
Is that
sad to
true,
me.
or am I
I
like,
don't know. Well, I'm gonna share this story because maybe
okay.
I don't know. Like I'd have to really think about that.
Mhm.
I remember in high school, and this could be the root of it. I don't know, but I was so quirky. I was so loud and funny and obnoxious. I was like the class clown, but I was so depressed.
Yeah,
Like I was just so empty. And then I remember I sat down with a friend and I was like, "Hey, I just want you to know like I've been thinking about like I just like suicide was just like really loud in my mind. Like it was like a real concept to me." She was like, "What?
yeah,
I would have never thought because you're just so happy all the time." And I'm
mm,
like, like that is not true. But I would suppress what I was
yeah,
actually like feeling and going through with humor.
yeah.
Um,
Me too.
yeah. And so, yeah, man. Um, and that's why I'm really blessed that I've been set free from that because I'm still funny, but it's not a suppressing way. It's genuinely because I find things really silly.
Yeah,
And I always find the funny things in serious moments, which is not always beneficial. So,
right. I think it's like a good tool though to
hmm.
have that. Like I think it's okay to find humor in really serious situations because otherwise like life's too serious. Like I think there's a balance to it. I think that you need to acknowledge the heaviness, but then also it's fine to make some jokes about it
Hmm.
because otherwise you're gonna sink into a depression or like, you know, I don't
Yeah.
know. Um but yeah, I was literally like telling my therapist this yesterday, which this is just how I felt. I don't know if this is how Ryan felt. I don't know what Ryan's side to this is, but this was my side. Growing up, like in high school, Ryan was always like severely depressed, like very depressed. And like, um, it was really hard for me to witness that. And um, I felt like I kind of had to hold it together. Like I felt like I had to cheer him up or like it wasn't always like that. Like I would fall apart too and he would be there for me and stuff, but like I felt like when he was really depressed, I was like I have to be funny. I have to be silly. I have to cheer him up. I got to lift the vibe or whatever. And so I don't know, I always felt like I would put my emotions to the side for him and maybe he did the same for me too, you know, in ways. But
Yeah.
like I don't know, I was just thinking about that yesterday and it was like, whoa, like I don't know. Just a interesting thing to process.
Yeah. I don't, I don't know, man. Like, I just want to be careful because I have family who listens to this. So I don't want to like dishonor anybody, but
Right. Do you think that was too much to say?
no, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
No. I think just for me, I'm just trying to be careful with what I say. Um,
Right.
but I think the way that some things were handled emotionally in my household was just kind of difficult.
Right.
Um, and I remember there was times where I would try to express what I'm feeling, and then I would hear things like "Stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's not always about
Mm,
you.
mm,
You're making this about you."
right.
And I don't necessarily think that I was. I was just honestly trying to express
How you felt.
how I felt in the moment, and then it just got
Right.
shut down. And so
Right.
I, I guess
Whoa. Yeah.
associate whenever express how I feel, it might get shut down, so I just never do it. I don't
Right.
know. Um,
Well,
but
and
yeah.
then it sounds like also that like, sorry, did I
No, go
cut you
ahead.
off?
No, go ahead.
It sounds like also like maybe because it got shut down, um, you kind of lost the ability to figure out what you're feeling
Hmm.
almost.
Yeah.
Like since maybe you never got the chance to fully like get there, you know?
Hmm. And like,
Because
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, I remember I was talking to someone about how I would get shut down as a
Mhm.
child. Um, and then they would say, well, maybe that's all they knew at the moment. Maybe
Right.
they would get shut down when they would open up,
No, exactly. Yeah.
you know? And when I heard that in the moment, I didn't have any sympathy. It's like, I don't really care what they went through. Like, I just needed somebody. And like,
Right.
and
Well,
so
yeah, I
it,
do think
go ahead.
that's a hard thing to hear. That's a hard thing to hear when you feel really invalidated. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, but like, because it's like, yes, you do need to feel, not need to, but like, I think it is healthy to consider their their upbringing, and
Hmm.
also it's like your stuff still matters.
Right.
So it is hard to like it's like invalidating to
Hmm.
hear like yeah, like I get that, but also think about they're not considering your emotions at all, but consider theirs.
There's right.
You know? It's
Yeah.
like it's hard.
Yeah, it is. Because when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. And then again, I felt shut down because I was
Yeah, no, that is, yeah,
expressing
that is, yeah,
how I felt when I would express my emotions, it would get shut down. Oh, you just don't know how what they were going through. Maybe that's all they ever knew, how to
yeah,
express their
yeah,
emotions. And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, thanks. So honestly,
Right.
like, I rarely, this might sound so sad, I rarely express how I truly feel.
Wow, yeah.
Um, and it's making me really emotional thinking about it because that's like the real truth.
I am
Um,
so intrigued by your emotional experience too. Like I'm always thinking that to myself.
mhm,
Like when I'm with you guys,
mhm.
I'm always thinking like, what is Brandon feeling right now? Like I always think that because you often divert to humor,
Mhm.
which I love because I
Yeah.
also it's funny. Like we like I laugh so hard when I'm with you guys. And also I'm wondering like really like I'm really
What's
curious
really going on right now?
what's going on in there. Yeah, I really am wondering that.
Yeah, that's why I love the movie Inside Out because it's like I
Yeah.
wonder what it just goes in their head, and the dad's like watching hockey in his head.
Yeah.
Like I love that so
Yeah.
much. Like, um, yeah, man. I think I need to get better. And here's the thing, and this is just the honest truth. I think I don't express my emotions that much because I just tend to get shut down.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be careful because I just don't want to like have a pity party and people validate what I'm saying. Because I also
Right.
think that's really gross when people do that. But I
Yeah.
just think that sometimes when you're just real and you're honest and you're like, I'm struggling
Yeah.
and this is going on in my life, I think it's a beautiful thing.
It is
Um,
because I think pity party is like when you play victim and you're like when you can't hold multiple things to be true at once.
mhm.
Like going back to, you know, like the thing about like remembering where someone else came from and what their upbringing was like. I do think that's
Yeah.
important. And it's important to be like, just this is how I felt in that moment. And that doesn't have to be like a pity party. I think a pity party is more like, oh, like no one get cares about me, no one gets me, no one understands, and like I don't know, it doesn't have to be
Feelings.
that.
Yeah, I remember and maybe you actually enjoy this scene, but when it comes to there's a scene in Breaking Bad where Hank goes to Skylar and it was during the theft situation. He's like, yeah, we just need to
Yeah.
support her. And Skylar's like, oh, we need to support her. Well, she's not the one with the baby on the way that wasn't planned. And my husband disappears at night. And I have a 16-year-old who doesn't talk to me. Like, I'm the one with the issues. I just think that's so gross. Like, I just think that's so cringe. And I'm like, ugh, I just never want to come off like that. Like, oh, you're struggling. You don't know what I'm going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a Christian, this really set me free. Because I always felt expressing your emotions wasn't like uh like the Christian thing to do, I guess, because you're not praying or anything, you know?
Mm.
But then someone said, like, well, when Lazarus died, Jesus wept. Like
Yeah.
emotions are real. God created emotions. So like don't let them run you. Don't fall
Yeah.
in a state where you're depressed or you're just like in this hole of weird emotion stuff. But emotions are real and and yeah. And so funny like how you think about what I'm thinking what I'm thinking in the moment because I'm in my head a lot. I think so much. It's crazy. Like the amount of thoughts that an average person has, I think I double that. I'm thinking
Yeah.
so much all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Are your
It
thoughts
can be a
more
nightmare.
negative? Are they just kind of like all over the place? You're just trying to figure it out? Because like even like in family moments, like even now I'm just like thinking about stuff. Not like bad, but it's just like my mind is always going. And I think that's always it's always gotten in a way of me to pay attention because someone's like, okay, I just need you to focus real quick. I'm like, okay. But in my head, I'm just like not fully there. And then they tell me to go do
Yeah.
something. And I'm like, I actually don't know what they asked me to do because I wasn't really paying attention just because I was stuck in here.
Yeah.
Um, So that's why I love like psychology and stuff so much because I just think my brain's so interesting because I think so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like my thoughts are more, well, they're all over the place. I'm like constantly thinking about, like, like feelings, my feelings. I'm analyzing my feelings and like situations all the time, and like
Mm-hmm.
my part in situations. I'm constantly analyzing, like if I have conflict with someone else, I'm constantly like analyzing, like, okay, what did I do in that? Like, what could I have done better? Or like I'm like trying to figure out if my feelings in it, like if I handled it well, or like my feelings in it are valid, or like I don't know. I'm just always analyzing my part in situations
Mm-hmm.
because I'm really afraid to be like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm afraid I want to navigate myself in the least harmful way possible in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's like the majority of what I'm thinking about, I feel like. Amongst a lot of other things, but like that kind
Yeah.
of runs my brain. Do you think a lot about that? Do you analyze yourself a lot?
Yes. Well, the only way that I explain it is I plug myself in my brain. Like if someone's doing something really cool and a lot of their attention's on one person, I'll unplug that person. I'll put me in their position. Like I should be doing that.
Mm,
And so maybe that's comparison. I compare myself a lot to people.
yeah,
Um, when I hear like a really good speaker, I detach them and I put myself in there. It's like that's what I need to sound like when I speak.
mm,
Um, or it's like I need to be more
I
like
think that,
that to feel
yeah,
more validated or to feel like I'm doing more with my life.
yeah,
And that's not true.
yeah,
The way that I am matters and who I am matters.
right,
But I do compare myself a lot to people.
yeah,
And whenever people get like rewards and stuff, when I'm like not doing more than them, but I'm like around them a lot, but they get a
mhm,
reward, I feel like I'm just not being recognized. And it just kind of
right,
hurts. I'm like, dang it. Like, not that I deserved it, but it's like, man, that was just kind of punch in the gut.
yeah.
Which kind of sounds selfish. Um,
No, I get it though.
but
Like, I definitely do that a lot too, and like, yeah, it's like frustrating sometimes when I feel like I am trying really hard at something,
yeah.
and I'm giving like my 100%, like at that time. Like
Mhm.
that's the most that I can give in that moment. Even if I know that if I was doing better, I could give more than that. That's all I can do in that moment.
Mhm.
And like when I feel like my 100% is someone else's like 20%, and it's like, oh, how are they like that? How do they do that? I can't, like, I physically am incapable. And so sometimes I'm thinking like I'm trying so hard to fit what someone else is doing, and like what am I missing? That's my thing, or not my thing, but like I could do that. Maybe I could figure out how to do that in my way, and it'll be new, and it'll be like I'm trying so hard to be this other thing when I could be figuring out what it is that I am.
Mhm.
That makes sense
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah. For example,
Yeah.
when I did the podcast with Charles and Ryan,
Hmm.
I remember I kept having thoughts of I would share something, but I felt like I wasn't really sharing it. I just didn't know how to express what I was feeling, so I felt like I wasn't
Yeah.
able to express my full thought. But then
Right.
there would be moments where Ryan would say, "Charles, I really liked what you said,"
Mm.
and I was like, "Wait, like, am I like?" what I'm saying wasn't like quote unquote good enough, or I don't know. Like
Oh,
it's stuff like it's just so silly. Like it's just stuff like that.
mm,
And I'm not knocking on Ryan and Charlie. I had a great time. I thought
yeah.
our episode was really good, but it was just stuff like that. It's like I really like what you said, and it's like, man, like I'm not contributing to the conversation because um what I said wasn't liked or what I said wasn't noticed. I don't know,
Right,
just stuff like that. It's just really silly. And
right.
then I get in my head, and then I start overthinking, and then I just get in like this weird downward spiral of
Yeah.
overthinking.
I don't think that it's silly. I think that kind of thing, like it's crazy because I would have never like known that you were thinking that in the
Isn't that
moment.
weird?
I watched the episode, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like what like I feel like it's okay for you in that moment to bring something like that up.
Hmm.
To like but I don't know. I don't know. Like I think it's fine to just be like, "Whoa, I feel like I'm having this like experience right now." And
Hmm.
like bring attention to it because I think that that's interesting in and of itself, you know.
Hmm.
Um it would make for it because it's authentic. It's what you're feeling in that moment.
Hmm.
And I always love like when people do that, when they address like the elephant in the room, even though
Right.
it's not an elephant in the room. It's an elephant in your room, in your world.
It's a big room.
But and it's a big room. Um
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool when people can do that.
Yeah. And what's so cool that you say that, I love when people do that.
Yeah. Because it's
Um,
like, whoa, you're human? Oh yeah, you're human. You feel
yeah.
things like that too.
And I just love when people are just so real. They're like, I don't think I'm expressing myself fully, or I don't know how to express this. And I'm
Hmm.
like, me too. But I just never share
Yeah.
that. Um, like now, like this experience, this conversation is really cool because
Yeah.
um Esther said something really cool like a few months ago, and it's kind of stuck with me. She said the moment sarcasm like walks in the room, being genuine and vulnerable leaves. And I
Right.
love when people are genuine and vulnerable because I
Yeah.
love being funny and quirky. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I love when other people are like that, but I just honestly, genuinely love conversations. I'm like, hey,
No,
you're
me too.
struggling right now. Let's just talk about it. Like, can we just
Right.
be real? And I just
Hmm.
love being honest.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's needed
Hmm.
because I
It
think
is
for
needed.
yeah, because for me, sometimes I think I can just bring humor into a situation because I'm like nervous. I don't want to like talk about it, and I genuinely do think I do that sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that I can be a little bit more authentic and just um the Bible says be slow to speak and quick to listen. And I don't know
Yeah.
the context of that. I think the context of that is like when you're angry, be slow
Yeah.
to speak, don't talk over others. But like
Right.
emotionally, like before you say that sarcastic comment, could we just address what they said? Because they
Right.
said something that was a little semi-serious. You can open the door to a conversation before you make a sarcastic joke. Could we at
Right.
least just say thank you for expressing that? Or like, what do you mean by that? Let's talk about it.
Right.
Because I love real, deep, genuine conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think it's okay to not be in the mood
Hmm.
to have a conversation like that. Like I think
Yeah.
it's okay if you're like, yes, I'm feeling these other ways, but I want to be silly right now. You
Right.
know, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have those moments too where I'm like, that just sounds awful to me right now. I want to just laugh, be silly. But I do really like what you said that Esther said because it's true. It is true, and I do get frustrated sometimes. Like I always tell Ryan, like sometimes I'll be trying to tell him something serious and he'll just keep making jokes. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to tell you something. Stop doing that.
Stop it,
Um,
please.
and he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But like, yeah, I don't know. Um, yeah, I like it when people can be really vulnerable.
Hmm.
Just like know, not know how they feel, but at least
Yeah.
attempt to explain it.
Yeah. And I've come to terms with like I'm not gonna be always that person that people can open up to.
Yeah.
you know, because I kind of enjoy when I ask how people are, but they don't say that they're good. They actually kind of just like, you know what, like I
Right.
don't really know.
Yeah.
But I know there's a time and a place for it. For example, I
Yeah.
know for a fact that if I go to work on Monday and I ask my boss, how are you? She's not going to just pour out her mess. Why? Because we're at work. We have other
Right.
things to do. Um, and also, I'm not that close with everyone. So they're not just going to kind of pour out their stuff and let me know how they're really
Right.
doing. But those moments when it's like, let's just get real for a second. I'm struggling and
Right.
this is going on in my life. I'm like, nice. And two,
Right.
I just love listening to people sometimes. You don't always have to give your opinion, just listen.
Yeah.
Because that
It
just being listened
would.
to is nice sometimes. So,
It is, and I definitely struggle with that, being slow to speak.
mhm.
I have so many. I am just always talking, and I literally always think that, like, dude, just like, just like listen for a second. You don't
Mhm.
have to have a thought on everything.
Mhm.
It's so hard for me, and it's something that I work really hard on. But like, yeah, it's challenging. I do think that, like what you said there about there being like a time and a place for your emotions. I do think it would be cool if there was more space
Right.
for it,
Mhm.
because I don't think there's enough space for it. Like, I was listening to this podcast of this girl who she said she has like a really solid community, and like she was going through a really hard breakup, and like we like, I don't know, don't value people's emotional experiences enough. And she said that because she is such a good community, when she would show up at work, she would show up in tears sometimes, but keep working.
Mhm.
And it's like, why aren't we allowed to like feel how we actually feel, like cry while we're doing our thing? I mean, I know it's different. Like if you work, like you work with children, if you like work with other people like that, where you kind of have to hold it together, it's different. But like, I do think that there should be more space for us to actually express how we're feeling, because
Yeah.
there's just not at all, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I love my job too, because my boss, she expressed this one time, because our job can be kind of frustrating sometimes, just because of the behaviors that we're dealing with. She said it is totally okay for you to just drop off your kid with his teacher and be like, I just need to take a walk. It's like, I'll just be
Yeah.
right back. I just need a second. And it's like, yes, that's so cool because
Yeah.
I think that's way more healthy than I don't care what you're going through. You just got to keep it together. And then when your kids
Yeah.
leave, then you could. I don't know. I just,
Right.
yeah, man. Emotions have
Yeah.
always just been so weird for me.
Yeah.
Like being able to express how I truly feel has always been difficult.
Right.
And,
Do you think it's changing for you since like being married? Do you think
mm,
it's making it easier somehow?
you know, not really, because I don't really know how to express to my wife how much I love her. And
Mm,
right now in this season, um, this is going to sound terrible. I just don't feel like I'm that great of a husband because I feel like in
mm,
some areas I'm selfish.
mm,
For example, like I'll come home and she's cleaning something, and that's a perfect opportunity to just drop what I'm doing and help her, but I don't all the time.
right.
And I want to get better at that.
Mm,
And even to like I've been like expressing that in my mind, like I don't think I'm that great of a husband right now because I could help my wife more. But I haven't really like I told her that. I apologized. It's like I just don't feel like I'm a really great husband in the moment. Um, but it didn't really go anywhere. Like the conversation wasn't really had.
yeah.
But I remember I was just laying in my bed, just like silently crying to myself because I was like, dang it, like
Mm,
I just don't know how to verbally express how I feel.
mm,
Um, and so I don't know if it would be healthy just for me just kind of like force it out and just kind of like sit her
yeah.
down and just tell her how much I love her. Um, but dude, tell me like it's so weird. I don't really tell my family that I love them. It's awkward
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Hugging my family is a little awkward for me. It's weird.
Mm.
Like when it comes
No,
to Esther, because she's my wife, I can hug her all the time, but like hugging my mom's a little weird. My first dance at our wedding was just a little weird in my mind because I don't know, it's just because like physical touch is not my love language, but just expressing that I love people, it's really
mm.
weird, especially when it comes to a guy. I think that's just a dude thing, just telling a dude that you love them. But I
Yeah.
remember my best man Sean, me and him had a conversation about he expressed that in his mind I'm his best friend, and then I expressed that I was like he was my best friend, but it just felt so like weird. It was just so uncomfortable
Uncomfortable.
for me to say that. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. It's weird.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel for a lot of men in that
Mhm.
because I know that that's a common experience amongst men. And like, well, I think even for a woman, I feel things insanely deeply.
Mhm.
Like, and I tell people all the time how much I love them and why I love them. And like, because I feel it so deeply. Like how I texted you that time and I was like, dude, I'm like proud of you for what you're
Mhm.
doing. Because I
Mhm.
genuinely feel that when
Yeah.
I like watch your podcast or like, you know, like Charlie and I got coffee a couple weeks ago and I was like, whoa, I'm like really proud of him too, like for
Mhm.
like where he's at and like I'll tell Ryan, um, the things I love about him and it's like and I feel like I'm making people uncomfortable all the time when I do that.
Mhm.
And I like make my coworker uncomfortable because I'll tell him like I'll ask him certain questions or sometimes I'll be like, guys, I feel so happy to be alive today. Like I'll say something like that, and he's like, ugh, dude.
Get your
Like he's
positive
like,
vibes out of here.
get your
Ugh.
positive vibes out of here. That's disgusting.
Gross,
But
dude.
I just, yeah, yeah. I feel like I make people uncomfortable because I like love them so deeply and
Yeah.
enjoy telling them why I love them.
Yeah. I
And
love
so
oh, go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
hesitant to do that. I'm
Mhm.
hesitant to do that because I know it makes people feel weird.
Yeah.
That's all.
I okay, so something that we do at our church,
Hmm.
not like as a congregation, but like in like little groups or stuff. For example, our worship team, they'll do this like they'll randomly do like honor circles.
Hmm.
Those are so awkward for me. And I think
Mm,
they're just awkward for me because expressing how I feel towards someone is just so difficult for me.
yeah.
But I remember one time we are just sitting there, we're all hanging out, and our pastor, his name is Pastor Alex, he goes, Pastor Teddy, thank you. And he just got serious for a second. I'm like, what's going on right now? And then they just started honoring each other. And they're like, Uncle Teddy, thank you for paving the way. Thank you for being so um like serving this house and being just so faithful and yada yada yada. Like we all look up to you. And I'm just like, cool. And it was great.
Yeah.
But Alex was like, Brandon, you have anything? I'm like, nope. Like just because
Yeah.
just
It felt
moments
so
like
uncomfortable.
that, it's hard for me to truly um honor people because it's just I don't know. I don't know if it's just because it's awkward or because it's hard for me to do, therefore it is awkward.
Really.
Um, but yeah, we do that at work. We do honor circles for people's birthday, and
Oh.
I think receiving it is way more awkward for me than giving it. I
Mm.
think just sitting there and everyone's like, "Brandon, you're just so great." I'm just like, "Thanks." Like, I don't, I yeah. So,
Do you think you have a hard time honoring yourself?
that's a good
Do you?
question. I do.
Because I
I
think that
do.
yeah, I think that that's where, like, it's easier. Like, people think that that's arrogant or conceited or something, but that's where it happens first, I think. If you're able
Mhm.
to tell yourself, like kind things about yourself, like
Mhm.
I think I do this really well. I think I do this really well. I love this about myself. I love this. Then it comes easier to give,
Mm.
out back,
Yeah,
I think.
because the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. And so if I can't love
Yeah.
myself fully, I can't love other people. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, honoring myself is so difficult for me. I don't think I ever really do it. I remember one time
Yeah.
I was driving to work and I started crying because I was thinking about this might seem so weird, but I was thinking of myself as if like I was um like when people see me when I walk in the room and it's like, Brandon, you're so cool
Mm,
and you're such a joy to be around and you matter. And I was just like picturing myself like people looking at me like working and doing my thing and it just like made me emotional. It's like I matter.
right.
And it was just kind of weird to do. I don't ever really do that. And like it's just kind of weird to think about like Esther sees me as her husband and she loves
Mhm.
me and it's just like I don't know. It just kind of hurts my brain to think about.
Yeah,
But I'd never honor myself, which is crazy.
yeah.
Um,
Because
yeah.
even you saying you think you're a bad husband, and like it's like yes, there's always room for improvement, but I think it's okay to acknowledge like what do I do well?
Hmm.
Because I think shame is the enemy of growth. I think if we're like, there's a healthy way I think to feel like I think that like loving yourself and appreciating what you do well helps you get even better at doing things rather than feeling like being hard on yourself. I think being hard on yourself perpetuates the cycle of not being able to do more.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you honor what you can do well, then you'll be able to do even more. Because I
Yeah.
think too you'll have more confidence and you'll have more the ability will be there easier, I think,
Hmm.
And I say this because I'm really bad at it. Like I'm really shameful. Like when you asked Ryan and Charlie if they were proud of themselves, I was thinking about that question too, and I was like, I don't know. Like I'm really shameful. It is hard for me to just feel proud
Hmm.
because of that. And I don't think that that's conducive to growing, you know?
Yeah. Because, for example, it's like I can have this thought of I'm a terrible husband. This might seem really extreme, but it's like I'm not a bad husband because I'm faithful to my wife. Like I come home to her every day. Like that's a win. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not messing around with anyone. I'm not being weird with anyone. I come home to her. That's
Right.
huge. And the fact
Yeah.
that I come home to her every day, that's a win.
Right.
Um, and just I heard my pastor say this like stacking wins. There's a book, I forgot what it's called. Maybe it's called Stacking Wins. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
my buddy Charles actually was talking about it, and he was saying that stacking small wins helps you grow. So he was saying, for
Yeah.
example, the guy talked about if you want to go to the gym, stacking a win is if you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, wake up at 5 every morning. Just don't go to the gym. Just wake up at 5 a.m. And
Right.
then you do that for a week, and then you drive to the gym and just sit in the parking lot. You don't go to the
Mm.
gym, but you're just you made yourself go and get there. And then the following week, go into the gym and just do a small workout and then leave, and then just start stacking. And I think
Right.
that we can do that with ourselves rather than looking at the things that we don't do well,
Right.
looking at the things that we do well, you
Yeah.
know? Because I used to be, dude, I'm so hard on myself. Like with
Yeah.
everything, like every area of my life, I just look at the negative. It's really sad. Like I
Yeah.
just sometimes I see how bad of an employee I am. Sometimes I see how bad of a husband I am.
Mm.
Um, but overall, like I think I'm a pretty great dude, and I don't really ever
Yeah.
express that to myself.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's that's yeah, that's really interesting. Darn, I was gonna say something and then I completely forgot. Um yeah, I don't know. You have a lot to be proud of for sure.
mhm,
Like definitely. I don't know. Like I said, like I will look at your life sometimes and be like, "Whoa, dude, that's like so sick. You're like
mhm.
killing it." Or at least that's how I perceive it. It's cool. It's cool where you're at,
And it's
and it's
cool
okay to
where I
acknowledge.
come from, where I
Yes,
came
no,
from,
exactly.
to see me now. Because, dude, I was like I don't know, like just Brandon in high school was just rough, and the girls
But
that
you
I was
went
with
through it.
just like was rough.
Right.
Like, um, yeah. Hey, can I have like 2 minutes? Just stay on the call. Can I go refill my coffee? Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay, so I thought about this when I was refilling my coffee. This was kind of cool.
Okay, cool.
Um, I am terrible, and this kind of goes along the lines with honoring people. I'm terrible at verbally telling people how I feel, but writing
Mm.
letters and texting, so easy. Why? Because I'm not with them. Like I don't.
It's like a little bit of space.
Yeah. Like I remember one time I was hanging out with my buddy Zacchiano, and something happened. We were at the gym, and it made me laugh, right? But it felt like maybe it'd be a little bit inappropriate to share with our wives, but I still did. I just thought it was funny. But then I left. I was like, man, I shouldn't have said that. Like, oh my gosh. So I texted a huge paragraph, like, hey, like I'm really sorry that I said that. He's like, no, dude, like it's totally fine. Like, and then it was just one of the moments where I think I was just overthinking.
Mm.
Um, but I don't think I could have called and apologized. So like when people apologize, like in
Mhm.
person, or like they just kind of take a moment and be like, hey, like I'm sorry like, that I said that. I really look up to that. Um,
Right.
just overall, this whole conversation, I just love it when people are real and honest.
Yeah.
Because I remember back in May, March, something like that. My buddy from Go Ministries passed away.
Mm.
And so we went to Oklahoma for his funeral, and we get there, we're playing a board game, we're all laughing. Um, and then there's just a moment where like and not to toot my own horn, but I kind of opened this door, and I was kind
Right.
of proud of it because I wanted to talk about it. But his name was Shannon, who passed away. Shannon's best friend Charles came, and we're all hanging out, and I was like, Charles, like, how you doing?
Mm.
And it just kind of got like somber and serious, and then he just expressed how he was feeling, and
Mm.
it was cool. Like I love when things just get real for a moment,
Yeah.
and I just think being genuine, being vulnerable is like my favorite thing ever. Um,
Hmm. For
so
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, that is really cool.
but I was
Um,
thinking about that when I got my coffee. It's um, like writing or texting my emotions is way easier.
yeah.
Dude, I remember this is so, oh gosh, in high school,
Yeah.
I wrote a huge letter to this girl that I liked.
Hmm.
It was really kind of cringy because I was like saying like without her I'm like super depressed and yada yada yada, really weird.
Yeah.
And I think it fell out of my backpack, and
Oh,
I'm in my room, and someone, I think it was my stepdad, someone slid the letter under my door. And then I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, like my family, like my parents like read this.
uh,
And I was just like, I kind of died inside. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed.
whoa.
Ugh. So yeah, but no one ever said anything about it. No one talked
That's
about it.
great.
No one
Yeah.
addressed it to me, and I was so happy that no one ever did because I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, dude, that's, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Um, how do you feel right now?
Um, how do I feel? I'm kind of emotional. I
Mm.
feel that that moment when you're about to cry is like in that, like when it's kind of like in your chest, that's there.
Whoa.
My heart's
What
kind
made
of
it?
heavy because I think I'm in so much in my head a lot that I don't
Yeah.
express what's going on.
Mm.
And I think that this is helping me kind of express what's going on in my life. Um,
Mm. Wow.
yeah, because dude, I'm in my head so much. I don't know how to explain it,
Right.
but like,
No, I get it. I get it. 100%. I get it.
yeah,
Um,
like when I
how
was with
often do
my, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
okay. I just asked how often you cry.
Um, I would say pretty frequently, and when I say frequently, I'm not talking about like every day. Probably
Yeah.
like once every 2 weeks, maybe. Because, and this is weird. I only really cry when it comes to like spiritual things. So like if I'm like really thinking about the Lord, I'll cry.
Mm,
But when it comes to like me thinking about my life or like my thoughts, I don't ever really cry. So a lot of my emotions are spiritual rather than there's something going on in my life and I just want to cry about it.
mm,
And then whenever those thoughts come up, it's really weird. I feel like I can't. Like I want to, but I just can't make myself. It's weird. Not that I'm
mm,
trying to make myself cry, but
right.
I can't cry. It's weird.
Mm. No,
Um,
I get that too. I get that too.
yeah. Like I think you know who Theo Vaughn is.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, he's probably one of the funniest people
I
ever. I
know. I
think he's
love
so
him.
funny. But by far, one of my favorite things is when he was with Tony Robbins, and then Tony Robbins like, "How do you feel?" And
Yeah.
then Theo Vaughn's like, I have a hard time feeling proud of myself."
Mm,
And I'm like, dude, like that was the most beautiful thing Theo has ever said. Like, I don't care
right.
how funny it is, how funny he is. That right there, like, I absolutely love that because I think for a moment he just kind of shut off his humor and
Right.
not. I don't know. I don't
He
want to
gets
ever.
vulnerable pretty frequently too,
Yeah,
honestly. I like that a lot about him.
and I don't know. I don't ever want to speak for him, but I don't know if he like uses his humor as like a facade or he just kind of puts it up because he feels like he has to be because he's a comedian.
Right. Right.
But whenever he gets real, it's my absolute favorite. And
Me too.
I love it when moments like that unfold. It's like, dude, like you're not being funny right now. You're being genuine, and I love that.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I really like him
yeah.
in that too. Because yeah, I don't know. It seems like he honestly like does have a pretty good balance with that, like of just getting real
Yeah.
throughout like during his podcast, like I always feel like he'll get real. He like I don't know, it seems like other comedians are like I don't know, way less prone to being as real as he gets, you know?
Hmm. And when people, I don't know, I'm trying to be careful. Yeah, I think I can say this. When people, and what I mean by that is like, not that I'm scared people are going to like judge me for saying it, but it's like, I just want to make sure this is actually how I feel when I say this. Um, because I don't ever want to just to say things just to like please people or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, you know Bobby Lee and
yeah.
that other redhead dude he's on that podcast with.
Hmm.
I don't know his name, but anyways, um, I think there's moments where they could be genuine. There was one time where Bobby Lee talked about when his mom died,
Yeah.
and then the redhead dude made a joke about it, and it just they both laughed, and I'm like, dude, like that would have been a really cool moment to just be genuine
I
for a second.
know.
And like, I just think when people kill like genuineness with sarcasm or with a joke, I just think it's like, oh, like, dude, that could have been a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like one of my favorite Joe Rogan moments was whenever he was talking to the guy who plays Silent Bob, and they
Yeah.
were talking about their dogs, and they both started crying because Joe Rogan's dog passed away recently, and he was like, "Man, I miss that dog," and I'm like, "Dude, I love that." Like
Yeah.
Joe's crying, like I love it.
Yeah.
So
I know it's often yeah, it can be hard for me sometimes to let that happen. Like I
hmm
think it's cool to let yourself cry sometimes with people,
yeah,
and I can never let that happen, like never. Like
hmm
I'll share something and then if I start to cry, I'll be like or I'll make like
crying,
a dumb face
yeah,
and
hmm
like yeah, just separate it and be like, oh, no, be funny. Or I'll like make a joke just because I feel so uncomfortable. Or like, I don't know, yeah, I'll definitely do that too sometimes. And I'm like, dang, I like ruined that moment.
hmm
I like really ruined that moment.
yeah.
Bums me out.
Yeah. I yeah, I don't really find myself crying in front of people, but I find myself wanting to have genuine moments with people
Yeah.
because like when people come over, I feel like I have to put on like this facade, be like, "Hey man, welcome, let's go, dude," and just be sarcastic,
Yeah.
but like I would just love it if people would just come over and I'm just like, "Hey man, what's up?" Like, "Come on in, make yourself at home. Like, how are you?" and just talk. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I look at people whenever they're really sarcastic because I used to do this, and I'm curious. I think I still do this sometimes, but I'm like, I wonder what they're going through right now. Like, I wonder what
Yeah.
that is. Like,
Right.
what's really going on right now?
Yeah.
Because you see this a lot in young adults ministry or like youth ministry where guys are just acting a certain way, and you can just tell they're just doing it because the girls are near and the girls are
Yeah.
around. Um, and I kind of think sometimes you can do that too with your emotions. It's like you're just gonna just kind of put on a show because you don't really want to express how you're really feeling.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, but yeah, I feel great right now. I mean,
That's good.
yeah, this conversation's been really helpful and fruitful.
Yeah, this has
Um,
been nice. This was a
yeah,
good way to start the day.
yeah, it was.
I feel like you and I never talk like this, you
I
know,
know, man.
and I would like to
Yeah,
more.
dude. I would because I mean I talk to Ryan pretty frequently. Um,
Yeah.
most of the time I mean our phone calls are filled with jokes. But like yesterday, and I'm actually going to ask you the question that I told him I wanted to ask you, just to
Okay.
kind of shift gears. Um, but we started out as joking, and then we just kind of got serious. We started talking about politics for a second. It was actually kind of cool. This question is semi serious, but semi a joke, so you can kind of answer accordingly, semi jokingly or semi serious. But as a female, if you were to uh, compete in the Olympics, what is it like knowing that there's a good chance you'll be competing against a dude?
What do you mean?
Like the whole trans thing. Like, I don't know.
Oh,
Did you see the whole boxing thing at the Olympics?
I didn't. I know what you're talking about, but I didn't like.
Okay. So
I
just
don't.
like,
Yeah.
what's it like knowing if you were to compete in the Olympics, there's a chance that you could be boxing a dude or running against a dude? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, I do think that that situation is unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know. Like I I do think it's unfair
Mm-hmm.
if your ability is like way above someone else's
Mm-hmm.
in that way. Like it's just crazy. Um I don't know. I don't know. That's a very nuanced thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Think it's messed up. I of course I don't already agree with like the whole trans community and stuff, but
Yeah.
I really really don't agree whenever you're going to compete with a woman, and
Yeah.
especially boxing, like beat the crap out of her. And I think it was
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 punches, but I saw a video where before she flagged down and said she was going to quit, she was resting on the ropes, and he punched her in the back of the head, which is first off like a complete disqualification, but apparently he won, and it's like that's just so jacked up. And so
Wow.
like when it comes to sports, I think it's so like so messed up, so wrong. And the
Yeah.
fact that that athlete, the woman athlete, just kind of had the Olympics taken from her. Like she worked
Right.
so hard to get there. She competed, she won, she got in, and then she gets in the ring with a dude, and 2 punches in, she only fought for like 45 seconds.
Jeez. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not fair. It's really not fair.
Yeah.
Like like the whole that concept as a whole um is very nuanced, but
Mm-hmm.
specifically trans individuals in com- like I don't know, competing against women is unfair. It's
Yeah.
unfair.
I
It's really unfair.
100%. Let me
Yeah.
I gotta send this quick text. Don't mind me.
Oh my.
Don't mind me. Boom.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me ask you something so that you can talk while I
okay.
do this. Let me think. Let me really think. Um, hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh, Kathy.
Oh, Kathy. Oh. Um,
Uh,
yeah, like, do you feel close to my mom? Or like what are your like okay, and I want to be careful asking this because I want to my initial question is like, what are your thoughts on my mom? But she like listens, so I don't want to be like, oh yeah, dude, she like yeah, I don't really like your mom, dude. Your mom's like trash. So just be careful what you say, but like you like my mom?
I don't have anything bad to say. Obviously, I love your mom.
Yeah.
She's um family. I definitely I don't think we've ever been super close. I think because of kind of what we're talking about, like we have never really gotten super vulnerable with each other. Um, it's the conversations usually kept pretty lighthearted. Um, so I would love to be closer and have more vulnerable conversations because I know she's been through a lot and has dealt with a lot the past few years.
Yeah.
And I haven't really spoken with her about much of anything she's been through.
Hmm.
And I feel like we haven't talked about much of what I've been through. So
Hmm.
I don't know. That
Yeah.
doesn't make for a super vulnerable connection, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. My mom's great.
Yeah.
Talking to her is interesting because just the way her brain works is just kind of interesting, not in a bad way. Um, but yeah, I have compassion for my mom. I think about her a
Yeah.
lot, which is funny. Like me living out here, me and my mom have gotten really close, which has been pretty cool. We talk pretty frequently. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have compassion for my mom. I think about her a
Yeah.
lot. Um, yeah, and I just think about
It's
like her
like she's really
situation.
strong.
Yeah, the fact that she's doing well now is really cool to see.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, my mom's great, man.
Hmm.
And what's funny is I typically have these thoughts when I'm with her. This is like stoner thinking. It's like kind of deep. It doesn't really matter. But
Yeah.
like sometimes I'll just kind of zoom out. I'm like, whoa, dude, like that's my mom. Like
Yeah.
Alicia's my mom, man. Like,
Yeah.
whoa. You know?
Whoa. Yeah.
And yeah, so
In like what kind of way?
I don't know, like just like again, it's just stoner thinking, just like the fact like that's my mom.
Right.
And
No, I actually know what you mean.
you know
I
what I'm
have that same
saying?
yeah with my dad too.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
my mom's great. I think family's great.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I want to get better at expressing my love towards my family.
Right.
Which weird. I don't necessarily think about them that a lot, because I'm like I'm out here, I'm doing my own thing.
Right.
So I think the one person I actually think about the most is my uncle Bernie.
Yeah.
Just because he's just such a joy to be with, and he's just my favorite person ever. Um, besides Esther. I'm just saying that because I don't know if she's listening. Just kidding. Um, but yeah, I love my uncle so much.
Yeah.
And it was cool. One of my favorite memories from my wedding day was I got to the hotel the morning of, and he was so excited to see me. He just started punching me, and then I started punching him, and we got like really rough for a second. We were just going back at it. Like he almost fell out of his chair, and he was just laughing the entire time. And for those of you who don't know, my uncle Bernie has cerebral palsy, so he's in a wheelchair. And I love our relationship because he can't speak, and so just being able to grow up, being able to have that opportunity to grow up with him, I can talk to him without his talker, so he can like do like
Yeah.
mouth movements or head movements, and I know what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like a wizard because even Esther was like, "How do you do that? Like, how do you know what he's
Mhm.
saying?" I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just used to it,
I know. I'm always really impressed
you know?
how you just know.
Yeah, because just over the years, like when he looks up, he's either talking about God, he's talking about traveling, he's talking about my dad because I have to fly to go to my dad's house. He's talking about heaven, talking about the
Hmm.
weather. You just kind of have to pick and choose. And
Yeah.
but yeah, family's great, man.
You know.
But kind of going back to the whole emotional thing, do you like first off, do you see yourself getting married, or you think you're going to be single for the rest of your life, or do you want to get married?
I want to be married, but I haven't found someone that I feel like really good with.
Hmm.
Because I'm not just gonna pick just anybody, obviously. Um,
Hmm.
I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. Do you
So
is a huge thing that you want in a husband like an emotional connection, just something that you can just be real with and just talk to?
yeah.
Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
nice.
I really want someone that isn't boring.
Hmm.
I want someone that kind of blows my mind a little bit. Like, um, who I just feel like, oh my gosh, like doesn't matter where we are. We just have so much fun talking to each other.
Hmm.
And like I'd say like the biggest things, like health, values health, um, is really funny, really interesting. I would say spiritual, has like a relationship with God.
Hmm.
Um, and is like really open minded.
Hmm.
I would say those are the things that I really, really look for.
That's
I
awesome.
don't know. Everyone I've dated, I feel like has been boring, like
Hmm.
really boring. Not like in a mean way, but just not fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, that's what really caught my attention with Esther. Because when I first met, I didn't really have a lot of money, so I couldn't
Yeah.
really take her on dates or anything. So we would literally just drive around, blast music, and talk, and it was so fun. I'm like, dang, this girl's really
Yeah.
fun. That was the very first thing that caught my attention with her. Um, and so I get it. Someone
Yeah.
who you can talk to and someone who's fun is important.
Hmm.
Um,
Totally.
just because being married to your best friend is great.
Yeah.
Because me and Esther laugh so much, it's really fun.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's my favorite part about being married. Like we laugh all the time, and it's a joy to do
Yeah.
that. Um, do you think you're gonna meet someone in Albuquerque, or probably not?
I don't know. I'm
I don't
thinking,
know.
I don't know. I don't know. Who knows, you know?
Who knows? Yeah.
Who to say, like I have no expectations, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And if I don't ever feel like I meet someone that fits, like then that's fine. I'm content being alone right now. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard to find, I don't know, like particularly men. Like it's hard to find a good dude who I feel like is like healthy and working on himself, and it's just hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I feel. So I don't know. I want to spend more time just working on myself
Yeah.
and like me becoming an ideal partner, you know?
Yeah. Do you want to be a mom?
Um, I've always wanted kids, but I think since like that feeling of wanting kids is slowly getting smaller and smaller. And I think just because I've never dated someone that I felt super good with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I find someone that I work really well with, then I'll probably feel that feeling of wanting children.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, it's pretty much like a no.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be a dad so bad. Like way more than Esther. It's pretty crazy.
When do you want, like,
Well,
how soon do you want to have kids?
like right now, if like a little kid just ran in here and be like, "Hey, Dad," but what's up, dude?
What's
Um,
up, dude?
but my wife isn't there yet, so that's okay. We've
Yeah.
talked about 2025 ish, maybe. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So what's funny, me and Ryan were talking about that, how all four of us haven't had kids yet, which is crazy.
I know.
Um, so yeah, I would love to be a dad. I would love to be a girl dad. I don't
Hmm.
know why, but I would love to have a daughter. But if I have a boy, great, you know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
would
The
love to
last guy I dated so desperately wanted to be a girl dad too.
really.
Like so much so, I don't know if you know like that Instagram like dad and his daughter. His
Mm-mm.
name is Zeth and he's got like really
Oh
curly
yes, yes, yes.
and yeah, his daughter's like really cute and she also has really curly hair.
Hmm.
But I would send him those videos and every time or I would show him one and he would literally start crying because he's like I want that so bad. And I thought it was really sweet and beautiful. And also I felt bad because like I don't know, I just didn't feel like he and I were right together. I
Hmm.
feel like he wanted something like that.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, my relationship with girls has always been weird. Um, because I've always felt like I had to be with somebody.
Right.
Um, yeah, I remember when I was in the internship, I still had a girl issue. Um, like I would talk to multiple girls at the same time, which was really bad. It was a really bad
Mhm.
habit. I don't know why I did it. Um, honestly, I think I do know why I did it. I think the excitement of like that, the excitement of meeting someone new, getting to know them, and like that excitement there, like was kind of nice to have and feel. Um, but yeah, it kind of crumbled for a moment. Like my whole life kind of came to a halt because something really bad happened, and it
Mm,
just kind of made me learn my lesson. And so I haven't done it since. And
right.
I've kind of learned that sometimes you have to fall flat on your face to learn some lessons in your life, and so that was one of them for me.
Yeah.
Um, I won't get into it with details, but I essentially lost Esther for like half a year because of decisions
Mhm.
I was making.
Yeah, I remember. I remember you and I kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, and so um, that was really sucky because it took her being gone for me to realize how special she was to me.
Mm,
Um, and I think the most beautiful thing was that she kind of came to me. And this is the reason why we got back together mainly, but she was like, Brandon, I don't know what it is about you, but you're different. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And I was like, wow, like even after this whole crappy thing, you still want to be with me. So that meant a lot.
wow.
So, but yeah, my
Yeah, that is.
relationship with girls was always just so weird. And maybe it's just because I was a dude and just young and hormones and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's normal.
Mm,
I think that like it's hard. It can be hard to have self-control in that way sometimes.
yeah.
Like plus like that kind of thing is really taboo, I
Mm,
think. Like it's not really that's another thing that I don't think is talked about or taught well. Um like anything revolving relationships dating, sex, even. Like I don't think those things are talked about
Mm-hmm.
enough and like in a beneficial way to young people. So I
Yeah.
don't think it's young people's fault. I think it's the society around them that's failing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How was the sex talk introduced to you? Was it from school? Was it uh family?
Never got talked to about it by family. I saw like a 30-minute video in fifth grade, and that was like the sex talk. I think it's so yeah, I don't know. What about you?
Well, I was introduced to it by dude, it's so weird. Okay. Gosh, this is so cringy. I don't think I've ever really told any family this, but at a really young age, I started to hear about sex. So I'd be in like third grade. Yeah, first or third grade. I can't remember. Yeah, first grade.
Hmm.
Third grade. I don't know. Anyways, um, there was this girl in our class, and
Yeah,
I guess she had like a little crush on me, but she was telling people that we were having sex at her house. And so my friend, and this was in third grade,
that's
and my
crazy.
friend was like, dude, like so and so said you guys had sex on your couch the other day. I'm like, what? What is that? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't even know what that is. And
Whoa.
so, and then around that same time, my mom gave us the talk. She printed out some diagrams. Like, this is what a female looks like. Not, like it was like a diagram of a vagina and a male's parts. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So she gave us a talk.
Like scientific.
Yeah, she gave us the scientific, and she did her due diligence. Like she did it well. And then uh, I guess I got curiosity arose in my mind, so I just started Googling stuff, and then I discovered. Hey guys, I wanted to stop real quick and say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I want to challenge you with something. If you know someone in your life that you know that they would like this episode, stop what you're doing and send it their way so that we can keep growing the Sip&Awe family. All right, thank you for sharing, and let's get back to the episode.
Sorry, my phone died.
It's okay.
So I don't know if this image looks kind of bad, but or if the
So,
audio will be pretty bad. I don't know. My
no,
laptop kind of sucks.
no, your audio actually sounds a little bit better.
Oh, does it?
A little bit. Not like
Okay, maybe I should have done this the whole time. What the heck?
it's okay. Um,
Anyways, you were saying about
yeah, so essentially that's when I discovered certain videos on the internet, quote unquote the P word, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
yeah,
And then that just opened up this huge downward spiral of consuming that all that content multiple times a day for years until
yeah,
I got saved. And then what's funny, I didn't know it was a problem. I didn't know that because I would tell certain family members like, "Oh no, that's fine. Everyone does it. That's fine. Just do it." I'm like, "All right, whatever." And
yeah.
then I got saved, and my pastor's like, that's not good, right?" I'm like, "Really? What?" And so, yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah, it's really like even if you're not Christian and don't believe in like it's not like it's also just really bad for the way that like it's so objectifying and so like I just see it the way that a lot of men view women.
mhm,
It's like so unhealthy, like the body comes first and it's like so important. And so I think often men totally overlook like even just like the getting to know you portion of being with a woman and they so desperately want to get to that part
yeah,
that I don't know. It's just like really messes with society's view of like women and what sex should look like and like I don't know. It's so unhealthy.
Yeah, and as a girl, I would love to ask this. Did you struggle with your self-image where you felt you had to look a certain way or dress a certain way or to get like to find value for a guy to have value in you, or you never really struggled with that?
Yeah, I definitely struggled with that, especially because I always felt super masculine growing up.
Like a
Like I
tomboy?
always felt, yeah, I was always like kind of a tomboy. I was always like boys would kind of make fun of me for the way that I looked a lot growing up. And I always felt kind of chubby and like just
Mhm.
unattractive. And but I didn't ever like I never even though that was the case, I never like changed
Mhm.
the way that I looked for men.
Mhm.
I feel like I had more of a rebellious attitude about it, and I was like, whatever, like I'll be even more masculine. I don't care if blah blah blah, they don't see me this way or whatever. And like, which I don't know. I kind of in reality it was like, no, I wish that I was more feminine. I just don't really know how to do that. Like, I
Mhm.
don't really know how to do it. And I like girly things, but even like relatives when they would buy me gifts or something, it was like a masculine gift.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, I don't know how to shift people's idea of me. I want to be
Mhm.
viewed as like a woman, as like a lady, but I don't think even my family really sees me that way
Mhm.
a lot, you know?
Did you ever struggle with like your identity when it comes to like I'm a boy? Like I don't know, like did you ever struggle with thoughts of like maybe I'm meant to be a boy or yada 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 or no?
Well, no, I did feel like that gender dysphoria feeling sometimes
Mhm.
whenever I was a really little kid. Like I mean like 5 years old. Like I never felt like, oh, I should be a boy. I've
Mhm.
always felt like a girl, but like there were times when I would have my fingernails painted when I was like 4 or 5 and I'd be like, ugh, like this feels so wrong on me. Like this makes me feel like a girl and I don't feel like a girl. And like there were even times I remember there was one time in kindergarten when I was like looking at this other girl, Selena, I remember. And
Mhm.
she was like I remember thinking she was really pretty and I was like, "What?" I was like, "I can tell that Selena is a girl. What makes me a girl?" Like I feel like I like look like a boy. I feel like
Mhm.
I like what makes me a girl? I don't feel pretty in the same way that I view Selena as being pretty.
Mhm.
So that was a weird thing, but my thing with it was always just like, okay, right now I'm kind of masculine, but how do I get to the point where I can be more feminine
Mhm.
and be perceived that way?
Yeah.
That was kind of my thing.
Yeah, how'd you get over that those thoughts? It just kind of like never really
It
um
just, they kind of just went away.
hmm,
And I think having a lot of female friends helped me.
hmm,
Female friends who were really in touch with their femininity, who I could learn from. Like, because I remember I would like have like a dress. I'd buy myself a dress that I thought looked nice. And I'd be like, okay, so I can wear this on like special occasions or like to a wedding or something. And I remember my friend being like, you can wear that whenever you want to wear that. Just put it on
yeah.
and leave your house. I was like, oh, I can. I can just
Okay.
wear girly things.
Mhm.
I can just dress like a girl.
Mhm.
And that's fine. But it made me really uncomfortable for a minute there.
Wow. And how what age was that? Was that like when you were younger or kind of like high school-ish?
That was like high school, even into like out of high school a little bit.
Mhm. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you still struggle with that or you're just chilling now?
Um, I struggle with feeling honestly like a lot less. Like I feel super feminine these days. I'm like learning how to balance my masculine and feminine. Like I'll wear a dress, but I'll wear sneakers with the dress, and
Mhm.
that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could still like if I see a tree that I want to climb, or if I
You could
like
just climb it, dude.
I can just climb it. And I keep my like skateboard and my longboard in my trunk, and it's like I can ride my longboard while wearing a dress.
Yeah.
Like who cares?
Plus, I don't know what it is, but just a dress with like Converse or something looks pretty sweet. Remember,
It does. It
I
goes.
it does. I attended my buddy's wedding, and his wife did that. She was in her wedding dress with white Converse. I'm like, yo,
Nice.
good job. Like that looks sweet.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah. I'm curious. Yeah, that was just I wanted to ask that.
How did you perceive me growing up?
Um,
I'm really curious about that.
I don't I don't know. Like, can you explain? Can you like what exactly do you mean? How did I perceive you? Like, how did I?
Like I guess in that way, like in like the feminine masculine way. Like
I don't know. Like, I never thought like, oh, Kyle's a
never thought
dude.
about it.
No,
Yeah.
like it made hanging out with you more fun because whenever we would go play football, you would join us,
Yeah.
or whenever we would go skate, you would join us. So
Yeah.
I never had a thought, and this is so genuine of like, that's kind of weird that Kyla plays football with us, or
Or I wish Kyla wasn't here because
yeah,
she's a girl.
yeah, I never that never came to my mind.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this too, but whenever you and Ryan would come over, and I still feel this way, like I would get so excited.
Yeah.
Like when the four of us would chill, it would be my favorite.
Me too.
And those would be
Yeah.
like those are still like my top favorite memories from my childhood.
Yeah, me
Whenever
too.
whenever we would have like a spontaneous slumber party or whenever you guys would
Yeah.
come over and we would swim, like dude,
It was so much
or
fun. I was literally thinking the other day about because I heard Hollywood Girl by Drake Bell,
mhm.
and I just remembered like the time that it's like we had spent the whole day swimming, and I think we like went to the park that day, and like we got out of the pool and we were like, "Oh, Drake and Josh Go Hollywood is airing tonight." And we like all like took a shower, got in our pajamas, and like Auntie Lorraine made us food, and we just sat in the living room and watched Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. And
Dude,
that's like memories like that. It's like those moments were euphoric to me. Like
yes. I
so much fun.
remember we were watching Nickelodeon and Fire Burning by Sean Kingston came on.
Yeah.
We're like, oh
Oh
my
yeah.
gosh, we gotta go YouTube this song. So we all ran to my Uncle Bernie's room and
I remember that.
we put it on his
Whoa.
computer and we were like blasting it and we're like, yeah, this is awesome.
Dude, that's crazy. I forgot that we would go to Bernie's room and just like
Search
look
on the
up music
computer.
and like
Yeah.
random videos, and like that was a lot of
Yeah. And then we
fun.
would watch, dude, I just looked him up. Let me see if I can find him. Uh, the guy, he would do the parodies, the song. It's like Computer Nerd
Computer
something.
Nerd 10
Yeah.
Computer Nerd 01.
That guy. Dude, I
Yeah, I
remember
remember that.
watching, I would only watch those videos whenever you guys would come over.
I
Um,
was obsessed with him.
and then
His
did you ever?
videos.
Because I remember you used to go to like those YouTube things. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah. No. I feel
No,
like by the time I did that, he was like long done with YouTube. But I did meet Smosh.
you did meet Smosh. I remember that. What was
That
that
was
like?
crazy. They were really nice.
Nice.
I couldn't even make eye contact with them because I was like shy. I was like, "Hey."
Hey guys.
And then they were like, I remember Anthony laughed and he was like, how do you want to do this? Because I was like gonna take a picture with them. I was like, I
Hmm.
don't know. And I just like stood in between them, and yeah, it was crazy. That was crazy.
Man,
That was crazy actually.
yeah, I think moments like that are really cool because I remember there was a band called Sir Sly,
Yeah.
and
I remember.
I went to go meet. I went to go watch Dirty Heads. They came to Albuquerque, but Sir Sly opened for them,
Yeah.
and Sir Sly like took the show. Like they were way better than Dirty Heads.
Really?
It was awesome. And then we got to meet them. So they went to their table. They were meeting everybody, and I remember I was like, I just saw you guys on stage, and now you're here. And then me and the singer connected because his name's Landon. I'm like, I'm Brandon, dude. What's that? So cool. My name's
I'm Brandon,
Ryan.
dude. Yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of looked up to him in that moment because the girls in front of us were like, "Oh my gosh, can I kiss you on the lips?" and the singer was like, "I'm married. Thank you though."
Nice.
And I'm like, "This guy's on the road. These
Yeah.
girls are pretty cute. He could have just did a little smoochy smooch, but the fact that he's like,
Yeah,
no, I'm
that's
married.
crazy.
Like,
I
I love
always think
that.
about that.
Like,
Like dudes that are famous musicians or whatever that go on tour and that are in relationships and how they don't like I like hundreds of women like pining over them and like
oh yeah.
how do they not give in to that temptation? It's
Oh
crazy.
yes, dude. Yeah, like how for you, like how do you not give in to certain temptations that kind of arise in your head? Like maybe it's just like an intrusive thought, or maybe it's a thought to like do something rebellious. How do you overtake that thought and not do it? You just tell yourself no. You just kind of run from that thought.
It depends on what it is. Can you give me like a specific?
I don't know. I guess like in your mind, like what would be something semi-serious that like if you did it, it would be kind of like shameful. Like if you like hooked up with a dude, or if you stole something. Like if you had a thought to do that, and then you had self-control to say no.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, is there
I
certain things
don't.
that are tempting to you?
Yes. I'm trying to think of like, because I definitely don't struggle as far as like if I'm in a relationship being faithful to that person.
Hmm.
Like if I love somebody, it's really easy for me to be faithful to them because I don't feel like I don't have a wandering eye if I'm happy in a relationship.
Right.
So that's not something I struggle with. I'm trying to think about something that's like really challenging for me. Um, yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I don't have like super overwhelming urges to do
Hmm.
certain things. Um, but I guess usually if I do, I like sometimes I'll just sit with it like and ask myself, why do you want to do that? I
Hmm.
think for me, my urges are more like when I break up with somebody, like checking their social media a lot and like being like, have they met someone new or like stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, why do you want to do that? I see what you're saying.
Why do I want to do those things? They're really bad for me and like so if I have urges like that or like I don't know, I ask myself like sometimes I'll give in to them a
Hmm.
lot, but sometimes I'll sit with it and ask like why? Why do I want to do that? What else what's behind that feeling? What's behind it? Because that's just a symptom of something else. So, yeah, and then typically I'll think oh, I'm really anxious about, this thing, and that's just my way of proving to myself that I'm worthy or like lovable or like and so I'll like walk myself through it and be like, no, I am worthy and lovable. I don't need to seek that reassurance elsewhere. Like I am inherently valuable. I don't need to prove it to myself another way, you know? But it is hard. It is hard to get to not give in a lot of the time.
Yeah. I think for me during this season of my life, I'm pretty proud of myself. I've been eating pretty healthy. Um,
Nice.
and this might be laughable, but I've been only been doing it for 1 week, just like super strict, just like
No, it's hard. It's really hard.
not overeating. And when I do eat, it's just healthy stuff.
Nice.
And I've been so tempted to just go buy a cheeseburger and just demolish that thing. Like I went with my buddy. He went to go get Whataburger. He went to go get a salad, but when they opened the drive-through window, just the scent of burger just hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I'm so tempted to go buy a burger right now. But I was
Well,
like, no.
you can make yourself like a decently healthy burger with
Right.
like if you get grass-fed beef and like good
Hmm.
quality ingredients, like who's to say that's not like
Right. And
that
so
that
like
wouldn't serve you.
essentially, I guess it's like more like fast food. Like it's not just
Right.
burger, but it's just like just
Yeah.
that greasy
Eating
crap.
out.
Yeah, just eating out and just unnecessarily spending that money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna do it. And this week's been pretty tough, but it's been pretty rewarding, like knowing that I haven't caved in. And
Yeah, that's sick.
yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard not to. I've also recently like shifted my diet
Mm.
and I've been sticking to it pretty good.
Yeah. Now,
It's
why is
been
that? Because for me, I kind of just had like this revelation that junk food is just crap because I was eating
yeah.
Doritos and I was like, there is no way that this is adding any nutritional value to my body. So why the heck am I eating this? And so I've
Yeah.
just been more kind of conscious of what I'm eating. You know, I
Yeah.
just don't like to eat crap. And then we went to my
Yeah.
dad's house and we just ate crap the entire time. We just ate like pizza and
Right.
cheeseburgers and like I wasn't really proud of my diet when I went to my dad's house. I think that's why I'm a little
Right.
bit strict now, just so I can kind of bounce back. But what changed for you?
It's kind of that like I'm trying because I've always had like a really bad relationship with food. Um, I'm trying to not be shameful if I crave something and go get it for myself because I do think that that's healthy too because it can be unhealthy to anxiously avoid food also
Mm,
if you're craving it and like it's okay to be like I'm craving that. I'm gonna go get that and enjoy it guilt-free, you know? Just so long as I make the majority of my food choices are good for me. Um,
yeah.
but also like just the way I feel like whenever I eat certain foods, it just doesn't feel good. And I wanted to just feel better.
Hmm.
And so, and like you said, like eating certain foods, I'm like, dude, this is just sitting in my gut.
Yeah.
And it's like, what
It's
is
like,
it
what am I
giving?
doing?
What am I doing, dude?
Dang it.
This is killing me.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah. I've just been pretty conscious of what I'm eating.
What kind of
Um,
stuff have you been eating?
so Esther meal prepped this thing for lunch where it was kind of like a salad. It was like lettuce, tomato, chicken, beans, and corn. You kind of mix it up and eat it with some rice.
That sounds good.
And then for dinner, the first night we did salmon asparagus with some potatoes.
Nice.
And then the next night we did these. You like scrape out the insides of a cucumber, you fill it with rice, and you put shrimp on top. Really good.
That sounds good.
It was really yummy. Um, and then I hung out at my friend's house yesterday evening, so I just ate like a healthy sandwich that I made myself with like healthy bread,
Nice.
meat, cheese, and lettuce, tomato. Um, so yeah, this is probably the first week in a long time where I did not like partake in like fast food or just crap. Like I was just super mindful what I've been eating. And then
Nice.
for breakfast, Esther's been making these juices, like these green juices with like
Yeah.
ginger, spinach, cucumber, carrots. Um, so yeah,
Nice. That
just
sounds
stuff like
good.
that. Yeah. Um, and I'm just proud of myself because at work we've been doing trainings all week, and so you'd walk in and there'd just be boxes of donuts, and I'm like,
Mm.
and they smell
I
so
know, dude.
good, and everyone's like
That's
getting like two of them, and they're getting muffins. I'm like, you pigs! Just kidding.
you pigs.
You're all fat. Just kidding. But I was like, a donut wouldn't hurt me. But I'm like, no, I'm sticking to this. I'm not gonna eat a
Yeah,
donut, even if it's just one. Like, I'm not gonna do it. So
right.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
no, it
tough,
is.
but it's been rewarding.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. And so, do you go to the gym?
I do yoga.
Really? What's that like?
Um, it's cool. I do hot yoga, so it's like a 100-degree room,
Sick.
and then I longboard. I try to longboard like every day.
That's cool.
So that's I don't I going to the gym hasn't always felt super healthy for me, weirdly,
In what
because
way?
I get too there are mirrors everywhere. I'm alone and like it doesn't feel community based. And then I also like I just get super obsessed with what my body looks like. And I notice when I do other things that I just have fun doing, I don't pay attention to what my body looks like.
Yeah.
I just get really in my head when I go to the gym.
Yeah, that's cool that
Yes.
you say that because Joe Rogan said you don't have to go to the gym to work out. Just find something that you like doing.
Right. Like
Um,
just find something that's like feels like play.
yeah, a big one for me. And I'm trying to figure out how I can get it up here, but I had a bicycle before I moved down here, and I would ride it all the time with my friends. Like we had like a little biking group, and so we would like go cycle through the Rio Grande. It was so
Rips.
fun. And there was a trail by my house where I would go. Um, and then I stopped because I moved here and I left my bike there because I didn't have a bike rack. So that sucked.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
but it was so fun. So
Get your
cycling was
bike.
really cool.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I think my Uncle Tim is using it.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, man. But
Show.
cycling was really cool.
Nice.
What kind of?
Which
Go ahead.
I have to pee really bad.
Okay, you
Okay, so I'll
can.
be right back.
Okay, I'll just cut it out and I'll edit this
Okay.
out. So.
Okay, cool.
Hey there. Peekaboo. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Kyla is peeing. I'm gonna try to call Ryan to see if I can surprise. What's up, dude? You at home, baby? Do you want to hop on the Zoom call with me and Kyla to surprise her? Just say what up real quick? You don't have to. You're in AutoZone right now. You're at AutoZone right now. Nice, bro. Cool, man. All right. Cool, man. All right. Well, I guess we'll just talk to you later. Just want to see if you wanted to hop on. Yeah, dude. All right. Appreciate you. Talk to you later. Bye. Do 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 do. Surrender. Surrender.
What's up?
So I tried to call Ryan to see if he wanted to hop on real quick, and he declined.
What did he say?
He's recording.
Oh,
He's making a song right now.
bummer.
Do you still listen to
Bummer.
Do you still listen to Meadow Lake stuff?
Yeah, I'll listen to it occasionally. I
Me?
really like Ryan's new stuff a lot.
Yeah, me too. He has a talent. I tell him all the time, like, dude, please do not like get rid of this gift that you have. Like, just stick with it, please.
I know. Yeah, he's insanely talented. It blows my mind.
It's kind of annoying. Just kidding.
No, it is. I'm like, why didn't I get anything? Why didn't I get any talent?
Did you ever kind of resent? Did you ever resent Ryan, or did you ever feel like Ryan was cooler than you? Like he was like the cooler sibling, and you were just kind of like in the background. Miss Lame
I feel
Sauce.
like is that how you perceive me?
No, no, no. It's like
Okay.
because that's how I view you, Kyla. I felt like Ryan
Because
was
because
like
that's totally how I see you.
because
Do you
whenever
feel that way?
when Ryan whenever Ryan couldn't come over but you did, I was like, dang it, I don't want to hang out with Kyla.
It's boring.
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 Kyla's here. Wah wah.
Wah, wah. Everybody, let's go.
All right, it's Kyla's
Um,
here. Just, dang it.
no, I never resented him. There, I was always like proud to have him as my brother. It was
It's
like,
cool.
oh, this is cool because like we enjoy each other's company. I would say we're like each other's probably like each other's like best friend, I would say.
Yeah.
So it was always like I felt um special to have that.
Hmm.
I think I would feel bad about myself sometimes. Like people would compare me and Ryan a lot growing up. They'd
Hmm.
be like, "Why can't you be more like your brother in this way or like in that way?" And like um I don't know, people always thought he was like in school, I remember people always thought he was like more attractive than me.
Hmm.
And I remember that was a thing. Like in middle school when he was really popular, like people would come up to me that I didn't know at all and be like, "You're Ryan's sister." It's like, I don't know you. Also, I have a name.
Yeah. It's like I'm not
Um,
Ryan's sister. I'm
I'm not
Kyla.
Ryan's sister. I'm Kyla.
God.
Um,
Is this the
I
Krusty
don't know.
Krab? No, this is Patrick.
This is Patrick. Um, but yeah, I don't know. So sometimes I was like I wouldn't say jealous, but I wished I could be more like him in ways.
Mhm.
Like I was like, whoa, I wish that I like had that drive or that passion, or like I wish that I don't know, I just always felt like he had something that I didn't have, like was
Mhm.
smarter than me, or like um people gravitated to him maybe more than they gravitated to me is how I felt.
Mhm.
I don't know. But I
Mm.
never resented him. I always
Mhm.
just felt bad about myself.
Yeah, makes sense. Like I think I felt the same way with Charles.
Mm,
Um, because I remember there were some moments where I would come from out of town when I lived here, and I would go home and see people. And then when I would walk in, like, oh, hey, Brandon, it's been a while. And then Charlie would walk in, and he lives there, like, oh, Charlie's here, hey. And they would just get a different
mm,
reaction. I'm like, dang it.
dang it.
I
We
just,
love me.
like, no one loves me. But
I
that didn't
know.
make me ever, like, really resent Charles.
Yeah.
But, which is really funny. I remember, um, I guess I was kind of jealous of him because people would kind of respond to him like that. But then he like me and him talked. And he was like, "Yeah, I really look up to you." I'm like, "What? Like, why?" Like, I don't really know why you do. I don't know really like
Mm,
what I have to offer, and so that was just kind of like shocking to hear when I
mm-hmm.
struggled. Um, how I perceived him, he like looked up to me, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting. I wonder if it's different for you guys because you're both guys.
mhm,
I think it's a little different for me and Ryan because we're not the same gender, you
right.
know?
Yeah. What's funny is, how often did you guys like have conflict? Because I think I've only ever seen you guys like quote unquote fight like once. Like, did you guys
When
fight a
was
lot?
this?
This was a long time ago. I just remember like you were like bugging Ryan or something, and I don't
Yeah,
really remember the context, but I remember like I like so I was like, wow, like Ryan and Kyla like argue. Like that's kind of interesting. I never thought,
that
you
they
know.
did.
So did you
That's
guys argue
interesting.
often?
Yeah,
Really?
definitely. Yeah. Even now, like when we just went on vacation, we got into an argument. But the thing that's like nice about Ryan and I think that's why we don't resent each other is because we always work through it.
Hmm.
We talk about it, and if we frustrate each other, we'll give each other space usually sometimes for a bit, and then we'll come back and be like, "Hey, I'm sorry that I did that. Like for this, and this reason." Like I don't know, we've always had a pretty healthy relationship in that way. Like we've always been able to resolve our conflict and move on,
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever shared this with my brother. So if he's listening to this, love you, dog. Um, but the week of my wedding was really difficult
Right.
emotionally. Not because I was like questioning what I was doing, but I was just like a lot was happening. Like I was moving, I was getting married. There was just so much happening.
Yeah.
And my brother's really sarcastic sometimes, like most of the time, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Um, and so there was just moments where he would like say something and it would just kind of bother me because it was just kind of hurtful. And I don't
Mm.
ever think he meant it like I remember one time we were eating breakfast. I don't remember what I did, but he was like, "Seriously, bro? Seriously?" And I was like, "Dang, dude, like chill." Like, but um and it was just so awkward. Like I don't know if this was awkward for him, but that was one of the most awkward breakfasts because one, he paid for my food and I felt terrible. We didn't talk. We were just eating and I was just sitting there because I just
Well.
didn't know. I was just so in my head. I couldn't express what I was feeling. Um, and like, so there's moments where like I just kind of have a hard time with my brother when he's sarcastic.
Mm.
Overall, we're way closer than we've ever been, um,
Nice.
which is really cool.
Yeah. Did
Um,
you feel close growing up ever, or did you feel like?
um, Not really, like a little bit maybe. Um, because we had a really weird situation where, um, I felt like I was closer to my mom and my stepdad, and he was closer to my grandparents.
Mm.
And so, like, my mom would like call Charlie like the golden boy, like
Mm.
because my brother was always with my grandma, and that's not bad. Like, I didn't ever think that was bad, but it was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um, and then as we got older, um, we would go to my dad's house, and I noticed that my dad would call for Charlie to show him stuff way more than me.
Mm.
Like, I remember I'd hear like, "Hey, Charlie, come here." And then my dad would go like show him his guns or something, and like my dad wouldn't
Mm.
want to show me, and so that was kind of
Mm.
hard. Um, and then there was a season where whenever he played football, where he was just like super macho. And
Mm.
I remember this one time where he had this jacket. This is so silly. He had this jacket in his closet, and it was so
Yeah.
cool. I think my dad gave it to him, but he never wore it. And
Mm.
so, without his permission, I grabbed it and I took it to school and I wore it because it was just such a cool jacket. And he got so mad
Yeah.
at me that uh, as big brothers do, he kind of beat me up. He didn't like hurt me, but he like tackled me. He like got on top of me. He's like, "Why you take my jacket?" And I remember in that moment, I was like, "I just don't really like you right now. Like, I just don't know why you're reacting like that way." It was just kind of
Right.
weird. Um, and I feel bad because I've never really expressed this to him.
Right.
Um, but overall, I think we're pretty close now. Like I feel like we have
Yeah.
a really good relationship. Um, but I will be honest, like during the week of my wedding, I was just kind of having a hard time with them just because I was in here so much and there was just like a lot of sarcasm. I just I can't right now.
Mm.
Like I remember
That's interesting.
we were moving my stuff and he made a comment and I was like, guys, I just can't do it with the sarcasm right now. And it kind of got awkward because I just shut it down.
Mm.
And I was like, yep. So yeah. So I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, I mean I think it is. It does sound like it was probably different for you guys because you're the same gender.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I don't know. Like if my dad called Ryan in to show him something, or like someone like a guy who was like, yeah, I don't care. I don't want to see that.
Mhm.
Like, or like, like it was like different. It was just different. I
Yeah.
feel like there were ways in which like maybe there was I never felt resentment towards my brother, but I don't know if he's ever felt resentment towards me for like not having to do something that he had to do, like um like helping fix something, or like work on something, like with my dad, or like, and I just didn't have to because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know if he's ever felt resentment towards me in that way.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I don't know.
definitely He definitely got disciplined a little bit more harshly than I did, and I remember
Charlie
that.
did?
Yeah. Um, and I remember being observant of that. I was like, "Dang, dude! Like he got." I want to use my words carefully. He just got disciplined more harshly, and as a
Interesting.
kid, I'm like, "Dang!" Like, and I don't know why. I don't know because he was the oldest.
Ryan got disciplined more harshly than I did too, I think.
Mm. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just
Yeah.
because he was older. Um, but yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think that I was pretty. Uh, I was my punishments were pretty lenient for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in high school because that was during the season where my mom was just kind of weird and I was able to do whatever I wanted basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting.
it is interesting.
So,
So growing up, it's so you asked like, oh, did you and Ryan like um ever argue and stuff growing up? Did you like perceive how did you perceive us like as siblings?
um, I really looked up to your guys' relationship because I never saw you guys fight
Yeah,
ever,
yeah,
and it was just really cool because I think me and my brother fought a lot, and of course, I
yeah,
think what you're saying kind of makes sense. Like we were just two dudes,
right.
and so we would just beat each other up.
Yeah.
I remember the coolest moment. I felt like, yeah, like really macho. I was like in first grade, and my brother was being a butthead, and the only way that I can defend myself, I got on my back and I started kicking like this. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Leave me alone!" And I got him right in the nose. I kicked him right in the nose, and he started bleeding. He's like, "Mom, he kicked me in the nose," and I was like, "Yes, take that, loser!"
Like that loser.
So that made me feel pretty manly and macho. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really looked up to you and you and Ryan, just because I never really saw conflict, so it
Right.
was cool. So,
Hmm.
what about you?
Yeah,
Did
that's
how did you
interesting.
perceive me and Charles?
I thought you guys were so crazy. Because you guys you would fight a lot. I do remember that. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It
Hmm.
felt normal. And like I said, Ryan and I fought a lot too. It
Yeah,
was just, I think usually we were at your house, and I think because we were like visiting, it's like we're not gonna, I feel like
do
we would
that.
get mad at each other, but we're not gonna fight like at our relative's house, you
Yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I think that's why probably we saw you guys fight more.
Hmm.
But he and I did fight a lot. Um, we would beat each other up
Hmm.
too. And like I don't know, but yeah, I definitely loved like spending time with you guys, and I don't know, it was funny. I guess your dynamic was like funny to me. I do remember this one time that you were like mad at Charlie, and you guys were also, I mean, Charlie's only a year younger than me, but and you're
I'm 20.
23?
I'm 23. I'll be 24 next month.
Yeah, you were always like th 3 years younger than me.
Hmm.
So like, and even young, like 4 or 5 years younger than Ryan. So it was like it made sense that you guys were more rowdy or whatever because you were a little bit younger. But I just remember this one time we were all sitting in the back of Auntie Lorraine's van, and you guys were like arguing about something, but you were like maybe like 6 or 7 or something. And I remember you kept on like poking Charlie because he was like bugging you. And you said something like you were talking about like if you were a doctor or something, and you were like, I would get a big needle and I would poke Charlie. And like I remember that. And I remember I wonder if Ryan remembers that. But I remember we were all like laughing so hard about that. But I just remember like little like moments like that where you guys like would say really funny things in like a roasty way that
Like
like
this was
cracked
like
me
the
up.
last time we hung out. This was like 6 months ago. Just kidding.
Yeah.
The whole needle thing's like what?
Yeah. I get big knee and poke Charlie
Like, take that,
at 20,
loser.
23 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, our relationship was very interesting. I remember
Interesante.
yeah, I remember I not resented Charlie, but I was kind of jealous because I remember one time he was on the trampoline, he was like fighting ninjas with his imagination.
Hmm.
And my grandpa's like, he was watching him like through the glass door. He's like, I love when he uses his imagination. And I was like, I use my imagination too. He's
I
like,
can
yeah,
do
yeah,
that
yeah.
too. Watch.
He's like,
Watch
yeah.
this.
And then I'm just like, I just start just kidding.
Was
But he's
he
like,
was just alone doing that?
yeah, he was just jumping on the trampoline like fighting. It was kind of funny.
I
And then
like
my
that.
grandpa was like, I love it when he uses his imagination. And I'm like, I could do that too. And he's like, no, no, no. But he just does it more. And I like that. That's really cool. I was
Did
like,
he
what
say
the
that?
heck? Yeah. I was like, what the heck? Like, I use my imagination too, bro. What are you
I use my
talking
imagination
about?
too, Grandpa.
Like, so I can imagine things. Um, yeah. So I remember that moment where I just kind of like, I was like mad at Charlie for fighting ninjas that weren't there. So
That's really funny.
yeah, what time is it? Let's see. Ooh, I got like 5 minutes. I gotta go pick up my wife.
Pick up my wife.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
Tell her that
Well,
I said hello
I
and that I
will.
hope she is well.
I will. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I had another podcast at 12, but this one was so fun that I canceled it to stay with you.
Nice.
This one was so fun.
This was fun, dude.
Um,
I love this.
yeah. Thanks, Kyla. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
dude. Thank
Um,
you, dude.
and for sure, bro, like let's talk more, man.
We
Like
should.
just text me or call me. I don't know. We can just figure something out.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
Definitely. We should. We should definitely talk more.
yeah, because
Then we can go more in depth too about some things.
yes, because
You know?
I look up to you and Ryan and Charles. Like when the four of us just have like a deep conversation.
Yeah,
Like I really, really, really like that.
me too.
I value those conversations, and so we don't always have to be one in person to have those conversations, and we don't always have to be together. Like you can just be one on one.
Right. For sure. I
So,
agree.
but yeah, well, have a great day. I
You
got a
too,
baby
dude.
shower I got to get to, not
Nice.
mine. um, so, peace out, brother.
Peace out, brother. Thanks for having me on. That was really
Yeah,
fun.
dude.